Chapter 579, LV3 Martial Spirit Realm. Sensing Fei Ren's extraordinary Yuanli aura, all the Night Gang warriors present were slightly stunned, and their eyes were solemn. Although LV3 Martial Spirit Realm cultivation was not considered the top among the younger generation of the Eastern Continent and could not be compared with the geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking, the Stone City under their feet was only a small gathering point outside the Secret Realm. For the warriors near the Stone City, Fei Ren, who was at LV3 Martial Spirit Realm, was already a rare expert. Among the Night Gang warriors present, except for a few who were at LV3 Martial Spirit Realm, most of them were at LV1 Martial Spirit Realm. Facing Fei Ren, who had appeared halfway, the vicinity of the city gate fell into a dead silence. The Night Gang warriors did not dare to make a move. "Boss, this time there's a tough one. Should we tell Boss Yi and ask him to come and help?" After a few moments of silence, a Night Gang warrior suddenly stepped forward and whispered to the middle-aged man beside him. His tone was a little nervous. The middle-aged man had a coarse appearance with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Not only was he tall and sturdy, but his muscles looked as if they were about to explode. Furthermore, his cultivation was not weak. He had already reached the 3rd level of the Martial Spirit Realm, which was the same level as Fei Ren. The middle-aged man was the leader of their team and was also a Night Gang warrior. Although his strength was not bad, the middle-aged man was not the leader of the Night Gang. Their real leader was someone else. Damn it, I didn't expect these two bastards to have accomplices, but there's no need to trouble Boss Yi with such a small matter. We have more people now, so it's enough to deal with them. Tell the brothers to get ready to kill this kid. Glancing at the subordinate beside him, the middle-aged man said in a deep voice. His face was gloomy as he clenched his fists and began to secretly mobilize the Yuanli around him. They were all Night Gang warriors. The Night Gang was able to do well near the Stone City gathering point and was quite famous. One of the reasons was their leader. The leader of the Night Gang was named Yiyu. He was an expert at LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. He was good at palm techniques that were as cold as the wind. There were few who could match him near the assembly point of Stone City. Therefore, this was also the reason why the Night Gang could run amok in Stone City. It was all thanks to Yiyu. On the other side, Brother Feng, are you all right? Fei Ren took out a grade 7 elixir from his spirit ring and tossed it to Feng Buhui. In the next moment, he arrived in front of Feng Buhui. "I won't die, but I'll lose an arm." After swallowing the elixir, Feng Buhui adjusted his breathing on the spot and stopped the bleeding on his arm. A bitter smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This time, he was besieged. Although he managed to keep his life, the price he paid was extremely high. His left arm was chopped off. For warriors below the Martial King realm, losing an arm was not only extremely difficult to recover, but would also affect the foundation of a warrior's cultivation. Unless one consumed an earth-grade elixir or above, one would be able to revive the dead. However, an earth-grade elixir could only be found by chance. Its value was far above a grade 9 elixir. Even the Yi clan of the Great Ming Empire did not have such an elixir, let alone the Scorching Sun sect behind Feng Buhui. Where did these guys come from? Fei Ren furrowed his brows and asked again. Since this group of warriors could injure a sword genius like Gao Yunshin and chop off Feng Buhui's arm, they must have a powerful background. There was a high chance that they were from one of the factions around Stone City. Night Gang. They're all from the Night Gang. The Night Gang is the strongest gang near the assembly point of Stone City. Their leader is a guy called Yiyu. His cultivation is at LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. Previously, Gao Yunshin and I were intercepted by these Night Gang members when we were leaving the city. They demanded a huge amount of protection money. Then, a conflict broke out and they chased us all the way here. Exhaling heavily, Feng Buhui forced himself to stand up and said with a serious face. His injuries had not recovered, and he could not be of much help. If they were to fight in a while, he might even drag Fei Ren down. Therefore, Feng Buhui felt a little guilty. If he was stronger, he might not be in such a predicament. Moreover, his overall strength was the weakest in the three-man team. He was even weaker than the injured Gao Yunshin. The night gang will cease to exist today. Fei Ren gestured for Feng Buhui to stop and recuperate. In the next moment, he reached for the green dragon star halberd on his back with a ferocious look in his eyes. These guys are hard to deal with, Gao Yunshin reminded him with a cold tone. Perhaps he had sensed the killing intent on Fei Ren's body. If it was a one-on-one battle, with the help of the grade 8 spiritual treasure, Shangyang sword in his hand, and the initial stage sword Dao technique, he was not afraid at all. He could even contend with the middle-aged man at LV3 Martial Spirit Realm. However, the Night Gang members were not fools. Since they could gang up on him, they would not give him a chance to fight alone. This was also the reason why Gao Yunshin and Feng Buhui were injured. If not for their solid cultivation, they would not have been able to last until Fei Ren arrived. 12 people, 7 of them are at LV1 Martial Spirit Realm, 4 at LV2 Martial Spirit Realm, and 1 at LV3 Martial Spirit Realm. They cannot be underestimated. Whoosh! Gao Yunshin swept his gaze. Just as he was thinking of a countermeasure, he saw Fei Ren rush out and kill his way into the crowd. This kid, Gao Yunshin, was stunned for a moment. A rare look of shock appeared on his cold face. Although Lin Fan's cultivation had broken through to LV3 Martial Spirit Realm, his strength had increased greatly. However, the Night Gang members not far away were not to be trifled with. The middle-aged man leading them was also at LV3 Martial Spirit Realm. He was not weaker than Fei Ren. Therefore, Gao Yunshin could not remain calm when he saw that Fei Ren was planning to fight against the crowd alone. Does he really have such strength? Arrogant. At this moment, the middle-aged man leading them was furious when he saw Fei Ren charging at them alone. He raised his weapon and pounced forward. Buzz! A layer of scarlet golden light gushed out from Fei Ren's body. Facing the middle-aged man's attack, he did not retreat at all. Slash! He slashed at Fei Ren. In the next moment, the middle-aged man felt his chi and blood churning. It was as if he had slashed at an indestructible rock with all his strength. Suddenly, his palm was torn apart. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood and fell backward. Bang! His body fell heavily to the ground. The middle-aged man spat out another mouthful of blood. At the same time, his aura was weak and he was severely injured. It was another insta-kill. Even a middle-aged man at LV3 Martial Spirit Realm could not do anything to Fei Ren. Moreover, the crowd did not even see Fei Ren's attack clearly. They only saw the middle-aged man slashing at him. In the next moment, he was bounced back by the scarlet golden light on his opponent's body. He spat out blood and retreated. Chapter 580. After severely injuring the middle-aged man, Fei Ren held the Azure Dragon Star halberd in his hand and shuttled back and forth in the crowd. He was like a god of death descending to the world. Another strike from the halberd killed several Night Gang martial artists around him. A large amount of blood dripped onto the ground. Then, a majestic devouring power emerged from Fei Ren's palm and absorbed the remaining life essence on the martial artists' corpses. Although most of the Night Gang martial artists were at level 1 Martial Spirit Realm, they had the advantage of numbers. Even a mosquito's leg was meat. At the city gate, the Night Gang martial artists screamed and fell one after another, turning into cold corpses. They were no match for Fei Ren. With his current strength, dealing with the Night Gang martial artists below level 3 Martial Spirit Realm was as easy as chopping vegetables. On the other hand, these Night Gang martial artists couldn't even break through Fei Ren's Dharma Golden Buddha body, let alone injure him. Such strength! Brother Fei has become stronger again. What a speed of growth! Not far away, Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin looked at each other in shock when they saw Fei Ren slaughtering his way through the crowd. Gao Yunshin's reaction was the biggest. He clenched his fists tightly and gritted his teeth. It hurts! Suddenly, there was a sharp pain in his head, as if he had been electrocuted. In the next moment, a large amount of unfamiliar memories and information rushed into his mind, as if they were stimulated by Fei Ren's carefree battle scenes. This is Gao Yinshin held his forehead with his left hand and his eyes flickered. At the same time, on the other side, the battle between Fei Run and the Night Gang martial artist was coming to an end. Corpses piled up at the city gate and blood flowed like a river. Most of the Night Gang martial artists were killed, leaving only 1 or 2 survivors. However, they were also seriously injured. Who are you? Looking at Fei Run, who was like a god of death, the middle-aged man with a weak aura gulped and looked horrified. Although the other party was at the same level of cultivation as him, his strength was far superior to his. Even their leader, Yu, was no match for him. Based on the power of Fei Ren's halberd, its power was not weaker than an 8th-ranked martial art. The middle-aged man knew that he was no match for Fei Run. With their strength, it was impossible for them to appear here. After all, the Stone City was just an ordinary gathering point in the outer area of the Heavenly Monster Mystery Realm. There were very few experts above LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. Otherwise, the Night Gang wouldn't be invincible in the vicinity of the Stone City. Unaffiliated, slowly retrieving the Azure Dragon Star halberd, a wisp of colored glass flame appeared in Fei Ren's palm. He seemed to be planning to give the middle-aged man a fatal blow and completely solve the problem. Do you know that Stone City is the territory of the Night Gang? No matter who breaks the rules, they have to pay the price. Even if you kill me, Chief Yi will avenge me and my brothers. Facing Fei Run, who was filled with killing intent, the middle-aged man seemed to know that he couldn't escape death and smiled coldly. Just a moment ago, he had sent out a request for help. Soon, his Chief Yi would arrive. In his opinion, even if Fei Ren killed him in the end, he wouldn't be able to escape. Then let him try. With a cold snort, the colored glass flame in Fei Ren's palm jumped out and landed on the middle-aged man's body. Boom! A large amount of flames wreaked havoc. The middle-aged man didn't even have time to scream before he was killed on the spot and turned into a charred corpse. As long as I absorb a little more origin energy, I can break through and step into LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. After killing the middle-aged man, Fei Ren lifted his palm and absorbed all the remaining life essence on the corpse, turning it into pure origin energy in his dantian. It had to be said that these Night Gang warriors were all experts above LV1 Martial Spirit Realm. Absorbing the remaining life essence on their corpses was better than simply cultivating and devouring origin stones. It was like receiving enlightenment from a martial arts expert. Fei Run is too ferocious. He killed all of them. Not far away, Feng Buhui's eyes flickered when he saw the Night Gang warriors were all killed. He clenched his fist and seemed to have vented his anger. His strength has probably exceeded our imaginations. On the side, Gao Yinshin slowly lowered his left hand in the face of Feng Buhui's sigh. A bright light shot out from his eyes, and it seemed like the pain in his head had lessened by quite a bit. Moreover, there was a subtle change in his aura. We can't stay here for long. Fei Ren nodded as he arrived in front of the two. Stone City was just a small gathering point in the outer area of the Sky Monster Mystery Dimension. The opportunities were limited. Now, if they wanted to obtain more opportunities, they had to go deeper into the central region and find other large gathering points to settle down. Sir, you kill my Night Gang members, and you want to leave just like that? However, just as the 3 of them were about to leave, a cold and gloomy male voice came from afar like a ghost. Swoosh! In the sky, a strong wind whizzed past. In the next moment, a skinny young man in a blue robe appeared out of thin air and blocked their path of retreat. His eyes were cold and emotionless. You. Fei Ren narrowed his eyes when he saw the young man in a blue robe appear out of nowhere. The young man's Yuan power cultivation was not weak. He had reached level 4 Martial Spirit Realm. Although he could not be ranked on the Hidden Dragon ranking, he was still considered a young genius in the Eastern Continent. In addition, the young man in a blue robe was also from the Night Gang. He was the leader of the Night Gang, Yu, whom the middle-aged man had mentioned earlier. Level 4 Martial Spirit Realm. The situation is not good. Looking at Yu, who was bursting with killing intent, Feng Buhui's right palm surged with strands of red yuan power. They were like raging flames as his face turned grave. Now that he had lost a hand, his strength was greatly reduced. Moreover, he had not recovered from his injuries. He could not block Yi Yu's attack. Gao Yunshun, who was beside him, was in a similar situation. Not only was he injured, he had also used the Shangyang sword and the high-grade martial art Sword Emperor's 5 moves in the previous battle. He had also used up a lot of yuan power and could not be of much help. In short, only Fei Ren still had the strength to fight. If the other party could not defeat Yi Yu, then all 3 of them would die here. They hurt my friend, so they deserve to die. Fei Ren let out a mouthful of turbid air and pulled out the green dragon star halberd from his back. At the same time, he glanced at the corpses of the night gang fighters and said indifferently, if he had not arrived in time, Feng Buhui would not only have lost a hand, but Gao Yunshun, a sword genius, would also not have been able to escape death. In the world of martial artists, those who killed would be killed by others. Therefore, Fei Ren would not show mercy to these night gang fighters. Ha ha, very good. Then you killed my subordinates, so you can die too. Hearing this, Yi Yu, who was not far away, laughed instead of being angry. A cruel killing intent appeared on his well-defined face. Chapter 581. Swoosh. Yi raised his hand and punched out. A large amount of majestic origin energy swept out and turned into a towering mountain, pressing down on Fei Ren. Rumble. Facing Yi Yu's sudden attack, rays of golden red light appeared around Fei Ren's body. Then he stabbed out with his halberd. Green Dragon Golden Buddha attack. With a roar, a majestic origin energy shockwave burst out from the halberd. It was mixed with a powerful fist force and the shadow of a golden Buddha. After a period of battle and cultivation, Fei Ren had cultivated the rank 8 martial art, Green Dragon Golden Buddha attack, to the greater realm. Its power had increased by several times. Therefore, even if Yi Yu had the advantage of a small realm, it would be difficult for him to defeat him. Bang! Rumble! Under the shocked gazes of Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshun, the shockwave of elemental energy also fiercely collided with the towering mountain. For a moment, elemental energy scattered in all directions. Green light and shattered rocks scattered in all directions, causing a series of rumbling sounds. Even the ground beneath their feet trembled incessantly. What a powerful move! That kid's halberd is not only a rank 7 spiritual treasure, but the power of this move is also comparable to a rank 8 martial art. Damn it! Yi retreated to the back. At the same time, he raised his hand to destroy a few broken stones that were flying toward him. After this fight, he had a rough idea of Yi Yu's strength. Although Fei Ren was only at rank 3 martial spirit realm, his strength was not weaker than his. Even if they were to fight head-on, he would not be at a disadvantage. On the other side of the city gate, its power has increased again. When the Green Dragon Golden Buddha attack reaches the complete realm, this move should be comparable to a real rank 9 martial art. With the halberd in front of him, Fei Ren spat out a mouthful of turbid air. Martial arts techniques were the same as elixirs and spirit treasures. They were divided into 9 grades. Above the 9 grades were the Earth grade, Heaven grade, Venerable grade, Saint grade, Emperor grade, and a Legendary Divine grade. The power of each grade was different and the gap was huge. Although the Dharma 1000 transformation technique that he was currently cultivating was a Tier 9 technique and was extremely valuable, it was nothing in the entire Xianxing mainland. Even those famous geniuses on the Eastern mainland's Hidden Dragon leaderboard were mostly cultivating Tier 8 techniques and above. Yi was able to block Fei Ren's Green Dragon Golden Buddha attack head-on without suffering any injuries. It was no longer that strange. If this goes on, the odds of victory will be 50-50 at best. I have to find this kid's weakness. Yi rolled his eyes, and in the next moment, he came up with another evil plan. Your strength is not bad, but it's far from enough to kill me. Fei Ren raised his eyes to look at Yi Yu, who was still standing in front of him. Once again, strands of elemental energy surged out from his body. The other party suddenly stopped attacking. He also felt a little strange, not knowing what the other party was up to. Shwa. Suddenly, Yi Yu's figure moved again. However, this time, he did not charge at Fei Run. Instead, he turned his head to attack Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin, who were watching the battle from the side. Not good. Sensing the other party's intention, Fei Run narrowed his eyes. However, it was too late when he wanted to stop him. Since I can't deal with that bastard for the time being, I'll kill you two ants first. In the next moment, Yi was in front of Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin. His palms were wrapped with layers of brown elemental energy that were like mountains. His killing intent was overflowing. Flaming Wind Palm. Sword Emperor's 5 moves slashed. In the face of a life-and-death crisis, Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin's expressions changed abruptly. They channeled all the remaining elemental energy in their bodies and waved their weapons at Yi Yu. Bang! Bang! However, the difference in strength was still too great. Before the sword chi and palm force could reach them, they were crushed by Yi Yu's palm and turned into nothingness. In addition, the Shangyang sword in Gao Yunshin's hand was also sent flying by the other party's palm and stabbed into the ground. The body of the sword trembled slightly and emitted a cold light. Ants, you still want to stop me? Yi Yu stretched out his hands and grabbed the necks of the two. In the next moment, he forcefully lifted the two of them into the air. His eyes shone with murderous intent. With their necks grabbed tightly, Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin struggled with all their might. However, due to the difference in strength and the injuries on their bodies, it was to no avail. Damn it! Is this guy playing around? On the other side, Fei Run, who had hurried over, shouted with a darkened face. You with the surname Yi, you're really despicable. If you have the guts, put the two of them down and let's fight one-on-one. If the other party had taken Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin as hostages, he would have been hesitant to act. After all, the two of them were from the same sect and had fought together for many days. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Fei Ren did not want the two of them to die for nothing. The winner is king. How is this despicable? You want me to let the two of them go? It's simple. Cut off one of your arms, and I'll let them go. Yi looked at Feng Buhui's empty left sleeve and retracted his gaze in the next moment. A hint of viciousness and cruelty appeared on his pale face as he sneered coldly. His plan was simple. Fei Ren's strength was on par with his. If the other party lost an arm, his strength would be greatly reduced. When that happened, Yi Yu would have 100 ways to kill Fei Ren. Brother Fei. Seeing this scene, Feng Buhui was just about to speak, but in the next moment, his face flushed red. An enormous pressure suddenly came from his neck, and he was unable to say a word. How is it? Aren't these two your companions? Why? Or are you saying that you don't want to save them and only want to use them as tools? What a laughable relationship. As he spoke, Yu laughed mockingly. Then, he suddenly exerted force with both hands, and a cracking sound was heard. It was as if he was going to crush Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin's necks in the next moment. Blood splattered everywhere. Clang! Fei Ren threw the green dragon star halberd in his hand to the other party's feet. In the next moment, he slowly removed the spirit ring on his finger and retracted the origin power around him. It was as if he had let his guard down and did not put up any defense. Let them go, and you can do whatever you want with me. After taking a deep breath, Fei Ren slowly walked toward the other party with a calm expression. Kid, this is far from enough. Looking at the green dragon star halberd under his feet, Yi Yu's lips curled into a sinister smile. It seemed that he did not want to let them go yet. Chila. As soon as he finished speaking, Fei Ren tore off his left hand on the spot. Instantly, blood stained the ground. Accompanied by a sharp pain coming from the left side of his body, his face became paler. However, his tone was still calm. Now what about it? Ha ha, kid, you win. But this is the end. Seeing that Fei Ren really tore off an arm on the spot, Yi Yu laughed maniacally as if victory was already in his hands. In the next moment, he threw Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin to the side and leaped toward Fei Ren. Chapter 582. From the very beginning, he was determined to kill Yi Futian. However, Fei Rin's strength had exceeded his expectations. Therefore, Yi had used the injured Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin as hostages to threaten Fei Rin to stop resisting and harm himself. From his point of view, as long as he killed Fei Rin, who was the strongest, Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin were like fish on a chopping board that he could easily kill. Kid, it's over. Yi Yu's maniacal laughter rang in his ears. In the next moment, Yi Yu's figure had reached him. Boom! Yi Futian threw out a heavy punch with elemental energy. In the face of Yi Yu's fatal punch, Fei Rin's face was gloomy. He stood rooted to the ground and did not make any move to dodge. It was as if he had not recovered from the aftereffects of destroying one of his arms. Brother Fei, be careful. Under the shocked gazes of Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin, Yi Yu's fist landed heavily on Fei Rin's chest. In an instant, a loud thud was heard. Boom! As a large amount of elemental energy wreaked havoc, Yi Futian's robe was torn to shreds. Following that, a green wound appeared on his chest. With his chest heavily injured, Fei Rin spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was even paler than before. At the same time, his elemental energy aura had also weakened. What a pretentious fellow. Let's see if you'll die this time. Yi Yu coldly laughed as he looked at the weak Fei Rin in front of him and coldly said, Oh, is that so? Slowly lifting his head, Fei Rin's face revealed an inexplicable smile. Coupled with the trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, it looked even more eerie. Pretentious. Die. Seeing that Fei Rin was still as calm as ever, Yi Yu was instantly enraged. He channeled his elemental energy and threw out a palm strike. However, before he could make a move, a blazing flame suddenly appeared on Fei Rin's chest. The flame flickered and danced like a cheerful spirit. Yi Yu's expression froze. Spiritual fire? Boom! Suddenly, the lapis lazuli fire grew in size again. Then, it wrapped around Yi Yu, intending to swallow him whole. Damn it, this guy actually has a spiritual fire. Yi Yu's expression changed as he hurriedly retreated. However, in the next moment, the glazed fire followed closely behind, its attacks becoming even more ferocious. It's not over yet. Fei Rin's cold voice sounded in Yi Yu's ears again. Yi Yu could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. It was a deadly threat, as if the god of death had arrived. Crack! Poochie! Suddenly, the sound of bones cracking could be heard. A white shadow flashed in midair, and in the next moment, a bone blade pierced Yi Yu's back. At the same time, it pierced through his heart meridian in his chest. Blood gushed out incessantly, and the tip of the blade flickered with an eerie, cold light. Puppet, how is this possible? Yi Yu's face was filled with disbelief as he felt a chill and a sharp pain in his heart meridian. He then turned his head to look behind him. His eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. He saw a tall skeleton puppet standing quietly. It held a sharp bone blade in both hands and pierced through Yi Yu's heart meridian. Its eyes were empty and emotionless. It was a rare puppet. Yi, you seem to be celebrating too early. Little White, come back. Fei Rin struggled to stand up from the ground. In the next moment, he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and laughed coldly. He looked at Yi Yu with a rare calmness in his eyes. Crack! Crack! Pulling out the bone blade, Whitey returned to Fei Rin's side like an obedient child. Only the smell of blood on the bone blade could prove that it was Whitey who had ambushed Yi Yu and pierced his heart meridian in one fell swoop. Although Yi Yu was not weak and could not defeat Little White in a head-on fight, it was not certain that he would be able to defeat Little White in a sneak attack. Moreover, Yi Yu had to use all his strength to resist the azure fire. Naturally, he would not expect that Fei Rin had a puppet as a trump card. You, despicable. Yi Yu's chest was bleeding profusely. He knelt on the ground and looked at Fei Rin with eyes full of unwillingness and murderous intent. His original plan was so perfect. Not only did he force Fei Rin to cut off one of his arms, but he also beat him until he vomited blood. He only needed one last move to end the battle completely. However, he did not expect the tables to turn so quickly. How was it? I learned it from you. A mocking smile appeared on Fei Rin's face as he said indifferently. Since Yi was playing with him, he could also pretend to be weak and beat Yi at his own game. Azure Fire. Go! Fei Rin opened his mouth again, and in the next moment he spat out a ball of blazing colored glass fire, which flew toward the heavily injured Yi. I can't accept this. Yi's body was engulfed by the azure fire. He let out a few shrill and angry roars before his body was engulfed by the endless azure fire. After a few breaths, only a charred corpse was left on the spot. After dealing with Yi, Fei Rin did not waste his corpse. He immediately used the devouring power of the smelting immortal cauldron to absorb the remaining life essence of the corpse and turn it into his own pure origin power. Are the two of you all right? Fei Rin recalled Little White and leaped to Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin's side. We're fine. Gao Yunshin's expression was grave as he shook his head. Brother Fei, it's all because we're weak. Your arm. Looking at Yi's blood-stained left shoulder, Feng Buhui clenched his fist and said with some shame, This small injury is nothing to worry about. Fei Rin smiled faintly. Small injury? Feng Buhui was stunned. Just as he was about to say something, his eyes were filled with shock in the next moment. A golden light flashed on Fei Rin's blood-stained left shoulder. Then, a sudden change occurred. The damaged flesh, bones, and tissues began to wriggle crazily in the next moment. They were like weeds that grew crazily. In a short while, they were restored to their original state, and a new arm was born. I'm not seeing things, am I? Feng Buhui's expression was strange. At the same time, he stared at Fei Rin's left arm. He could clearly see that there were still many traces of blood and mucus on Yi's new left arm. At the same time, it proved that he was not seeing things. Everything was real. Limb regrowth. Normally, only experts of the martial emperor realm and above would be able to master such a skill. This guy is really a monster. Similarly looking at Fei Rin, Gao Yunshin was indifferent and didn't say anything. However, his heart was in turmoil. Swoosh! Fei Rin waved his left arm. His fingers were trembling slightly. Then, he used the glass fire to evaporate the blood and mucus on it. It seemed that it was his first time trying to regrow a limb, and he was not used to it. Although only experts above the Martial King realm could regrow a limb, Fei Rin had the divine, refining cauldron in his body. Therefore, he could easily regrow a limb by absorbing the remaining life essence from Yi's body. However, the price was that it would waste a lot of origin energy. At the same time, the life essence absorbed would be consumed. Originally, Fei Rin had the chance to break through to LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. However, he used a part of the origin energy to regrow a limb. Next, we can go to the Central region. There are many martial artists who entered the Heavenly Monster Secret Realm this time. Most of them are young geniuses. The outer region of the Secret Realm has probably been plundered. There are not many opportunities left. After getting used to his new left arm, Fei Rin looked at Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin again and said, Chapter 583. Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshin were speechless. However, to Fei Rin's surprise, the two of them remained silent after he spoke. What's wrong? Fei Rin asked again with a suspicious look on his face. It seemed that the two of them had other ideas. Brother Fei, with your current strength, even if you head deeper into the central region of the Heavenly Monster Mystery Realm, the two of us will only be a burden to you. After a few breaths, Feng Buhui finally let out a dry cough and said awkwardly, although Gao Yunshin did not reply. He nodded silently, as if he agreed with Feng Buhui's point of view. From the previous fight with Yi and the rest, it could be seen that Fei Rin's strength had far surpassed the two of them. They were not on the same level. It would be fine if they encountered a weaker magical beast or martial artist, but if they encountered a strong enemy, the two of them would be in an awkward situation. At that time, not only would the two of them be of no help, but they would also be a burden to Fei Rin and distract him from the battle. Just like in the previous fight, If Fei Run had not been more skillful and deliberately cut off one of his arms to make Yi Yu let down his guard, Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshan's necks might have been broken by Yi Yu on the spot. Are you afraid of being a burden to me? Sensing the thoughts of the two of them, Fei Rin felt helpless. Although Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshan's cultivation was slightly lower, only at LV1 martial spirit realm, they were not weak. Otherwise, they would not have been able to withstand the siege of the martial artist from the Night Gang and waited for his reinforcements to arrive. However, compared to the other young geniuses who had entered the heavenly monster mystery realm, the two of them were slightly weaker. After all, the Scorching Sun sect behind them was only a rank 6 sect in the Eastern continent. Sometimes, the difference in starting points could not be underestimated. All right, but you have to be careful of the Yi clan. If they can't do anything to me, they might find trouble with you. Seeing that Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshan did not say anything, Fei Rin sighed and nodded. Previously, he had killed Yi Kuang of the Yi clan and caused a ruckus at the World Chamber of Commerce. He had also ruined the marriage proposal of the second prince Yi Jinglei to the Shao clan. The Yi clan would not let him off easily. Now that Feng Buhui and Gao Yunshan were close to him, the Yi clans would most likely vent their anger. Therefore, Fei Rin had to remind them to be careful. Don't worry, I'll explore around the Stone City. I think the Yi clans will not stay in the outer region for too long. After all, the Heavenly Demon Secret Realm only opens once every few decades. These guys will definitely look for opportunities as soon as possible. Feng Buhui nodded his head in response to Fei Rin's reminder. Feng's is Feng's SS2s. Feng was different. He was different from Feng Buhui. Although his cultivation was also at LV1 Martial Spirit Realm, his overall strength was much stronger. He was infinitely close to LV3 Martial Spirit Realm. Therefore, his goal was very clear. He wanted to increase his strength first before making plans for the next step, instead of continuing to stay near the Stone City. Here are a few 7th grade pills. Perhaps they can help you break through the shackles of your cultivation. Fei Rin took out a few pellets from his spirit ring and flicked them towards the two of them. A 7th grade medicinal pill. Thank you, but I don't need it. Feng Buhui was slightly surprised, but Gao Yunshan was stunned for a moment, then shook his head gently. Ever since a large amount of unfamiliar information and memories surged into his mind, he understood that what he needed was not elixirs, but time to grow. Other than that, he also had his own pride and would not easily accept gifts from others. All right, take care. Seeing that Gao Yunshan did not appreciate his kindness, Fei Rin laughed dryly and did not insist. In the next moment, he soared into the sky and flew in another direction. Gao Yunshan, what do you plan to do next? After Fei Rin left, Feng Buhui also turned his head to look at Gao Yunshan. As the former senior brother of the Scorching Sun sect, he had now become the weakest of the three. It was indeed a pity to think about it. There are many assembly points in the outer regions, and the Stone City is only one of them. I want to go to other places to train. Gao Yunshan nodded his head and left. These two guys, one is a monster and the other is a freak. It seems that my title as the senior brother of the Scorching Sun sect is just an empty title. Looking at the two of them leaving, Feng Buhui's expression was complicated. Then he laughed at himself. Heavenly Demon Secret Realm, a certain grassland. Woo woo woo. Wolf howls gradually came from the horizon not far away. Coupled with the endless desolate grassland, it was unavoidably horrifying. A group of people charged over with murderous intent, kicking up a cloud of dust. There were not many people in this group, only a few dozen. However, their cultivation was not bad, and most of them were martial masters. At the same time, they were wearing beast robes decorated with fur, and their mounts were the rare magic beast greedy wolves. They seemed to be warriors of some tribe. Not far in front of the group, two haggard and skinny figures slowly appeared. One of them was a man and a woman. They were staggering and seemed to be heavily injured. At the moment, they were running for their lives, occasionally looking back in horror at the group behind them. Sure Wu, you can't run away. I advise you to put down your resistance and return to the tribe with us. Otherwise, don't blame me for not showing mercy. In the group, the leader of the strong men said in a deep voice. At the same time, he raised the weapon in his hand, and the greedy wolf under his feet sped up again, charging toward the two fleeing people. The two fleeing people were a pair of brother and sister. The older brother was called Wu, and the younger sister was called Lan. Both of them were from a nearby tribe, the Rock Spirit tribe. The Rock Spirit tribe was an ancient tribe that had lived in the heavenly demon secret realm for generations. Although they looked no different from ordinary warriors and were also part of the human race, the Rock Spirit tribe was born with a special constitution. Most of the tribe members had the strange ability to control the earth element. As for the group chasing after the two, it was the Rock Spirit tribe's hunting group. Their main duty was to protect the tribe, and at the same time, to hunt magic beasts and resist foreign enemies. Brother Shifang, my sister is not a monster. Why do you want to kill her? Faced with the pursuit of the burly man and the others, the young man named Wu was both shocked and furious. The injured girl beside him was getting weaker and weaker. It seemed that her injuries had worsened because she had not fully recovered and had been on the run for a long time. Ouch! Suddenly, a girl's cry of pain came to his ears. The next moment, Wu, who was running for his life, stopped and turned his head to look behind him. His expression changed slightly. Sister, are you okay? Wu hurried to the injured girl, hugged her gently, and asked worriedly. Her name was Lan, and she was his sister. The two of them had relied on each other since they were young, so they were very close. Even in the face of death, he would not give up on Lan. Just as the two of them stopped, the hunting group behind them arrived and surrounded the siblings. The strong man's face was gloomy, and there was a complicated look in his eyes as he looked at the injured girl in Wu's arms. Chapter 584. The burly man was called Fang, and he was also from the Rock Spirit clan. He was also the leader of the Rock Spirit clan's hunting squad. His cultivation had reached the second level of the martial spirit realm, and he was one of the few martial spirit realm experts in the clan. This time, Fang had received instructions from his clan's grand elder to lead the team to hunt down Wu and his sister. As for the reason, it all stemmed from the injured girl in Wu's arms. Lan, the reincarnation of the Rock Spirit clan's devil. Fang shook his head as he recalled the instructions of the Rock Spirit clan's great elder before he left. Then, he looked at Wu, who was both shocked and furious. Wu, your sister is the reincarnation of a devil. If she continues to live, she will cause irreversible harm to the Rock Spirit clan sooner or later. Nonsense! My sister is not the reincarnation of a devil. She's just an ordinary rock spirit. It's not her fault that she can't control the power of the earth element. However, in the face of Fang's explanation, Wu flatly denied it. His face was resolute, as if he would protect Lan from being taken away, even if he had to die. Fang glanced at Wu again. Fang's face was solemn, and he seemed to be hesitating. He then said, whether what you said is true or not, it's a fact that Lan injured our clan members. As a member of the Rock Spirit clan, it's fine that she can't control the power of the earth element, but there's another unimaginably terrifying power in her body. You should know that once the terrifying power in Lan's body goes out of control and goes berserk, you, me, and the Rock Spirit clan will all be destroyed. As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of the Rock Spirit cultivators behind Fang changed slightly, and they immediately took a few steps back. At the same time, there was a hint of fear in their eyes as they looked at Lan, as if they had recalled some terrifying memories. This Lan is my sister after all, my only family. How can I just watch her die? Wu seemed to understand the serious consequences that Fang had mentioned. However, in the face of family, it was still difficult for him to make a choice. He still held the injured Lan tightly in his arms. Brother, why don't we return to the clan? That way, the great elder won't make things difficult for you, Lan said in a low voice when she saw Wu's hesitant expression. Her voice was weak, as if she did not want to see Sher Wu in such a state. Sher Wu, brat, even your sister has said so. What are you still holding on for? Do you want the rock spirit tribe that raised you to be destroyed? You should know that before your parents died, they were the strongest duo in the rock spirit clan's hunting group. If it weren't for your dead parents, I wouldn't be wasting my time here. This is Rock Orchid's fate. It cannot be disobeyed. Sher Fong's voice was like an ancient bell that struck heavily on Sher Wu's heart, causing him to clench his fists as a look of unwillingness appeared on his face. Although what the other party said was true, that his sister was indeed extraordinary and different from ordinary rock spirit clansmen. However, in Sher Wu's heart, he hated himself the most. He hated himself for being too weak. If he was stronger, he would be able to escape from Sher Fong and the others. At the same time, he would be able to suppress the terrifying power in his sister's body. Take them with you. Seeing that Sher Wu had fallen silent, Sher Fong waved his hand and motioned for a few rock spirit clansmen behind him to come forward and take the two back to the clan. Woo-woo! Suddenly, the few greedy wolves that had been sitting quietly on the ground howled at the sky. At the same time, they looked at the grassland not far away as if they had discovered something. There's someone else? Seeing this, Sher Fong and the other rock spirit clansmen were also surprised. Then, they all looked in the direction where the greedy wolves howled. The greedy wolves were the mounts of the rock spirit clan's hunting group. Although they were not strong and were only ordinary spirit rank magical beasts, they had an extremely keen sense of smell. Even a martial spirit realm expert could not avoid their keen sense of smell, which was comparable to a mobile radar. Now, to be able to cause a collective reaction from the group of greedy wolves, there were traces of other martial artists, and they were very close to them. Who are you? Sher Fong shouted in a deep voice, his gaze fixed on the other side of the grassland. Sorry, I'm just passing by. It's really a coincidence. Seeing that his tracks had been exposed, Fei Ren no longer hid. He jumped up to Sher Fong and the others and grinned. Earlier, when the other party led a group to hunt down Sher Wu and his sister, he was present. However, he was not in a hurry to show himself. Instead, he hid in the dark and observed. Unfortunately, in the end, he was detected by the greedy wolves with a keen sense of smell and exposed his tracks. A wolfhound's nose was still more sensitive than a human's. A coincidence. Hearing this, Sher Fong's face froze, and the rock spirit clansmen behind him also had strange expressions. They had chased after Sher Wu and his sister all the way here. In the end, Fei Ren appeared halfway and said that he was just passing by. No matter how they explained, it was hard to believe. These people are all from the Rock Spirit Clan. I heard that the Rock Spirit Clan is good at controlling the power of the earth element. Not only is the injured girl unable to control the power of the earth element, but the terrifying power in her body is also mixed with the majestic power of ice and the aura of extreme ink. Could it be that? In the next moment, Fei Ren's face turned serious as he looked at Sher Lan in Sher Wu's arms. The power in her body was so powerful that even the immortal refining cauldron deep in his dantian resonated with it. One had to know that the immortal refining cauldron was a divine item. For it to be able to cause a reaction from a cauldron, it was enough to show that the power in Sher Lan's body was extraordinary. Since that is the case, please leave. These two people are members of our Rock Spirit clan, and we're dealing with some clan matters. The atmosphere was a little stiff. After a few breaths of silence, Sher Fong opened his mouth and spoke again. Although he was an expert at the second level of the martial spirit realm, he could not see through Fei Ren's background. In addition, the other party was quite young, only in his early 20s. Therefore, he also knew that the other party was not an ordinary martial artist. It was very likely that he was a young genius from the outside world. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, Sher Fong did not want to have any conflict with Fei Ren in front of him. The Rock Spirit Clan and the martial artists from the outside world had always minded their own business. I'm sorry, I may not let you take these two people away. However, in the face of Sher Fong's dissuasion, Fei Ren shook his head in surprise. Although he was still not sure what the terrifying power in Sher Lan's body was, he was sure of one thing. She was most likely the same as the Celestial Arcanum Sect's disciple Emo Chuandao and the sword genius Gao Yunshin. She had awakened the power of the innate tyrant body. However, Sherlan in front of him did not seem to know about the power in her body. At the same time, she knew nothing about the mysteries and power of the innate tyrant body. Do you know that this girl is the reincarnation of a devil? If we don't get rid of her, it will bring a great disaster to the Rock Spirit clan in the future. I hope that you won't interfere in this matter. Seeing that Fei Ren did not seem to want to leave, Shifang's face darkened. He shouted sternly, as if he was going to snatch them away in the next moment. Reincarnation of a devil. Hearing this, Fei Ren laughed out loud. Then, he said, "You're wrong. This girl just hasn't mastered the power in her body. At the same time, she's not the reincarnation of a devil. Instead, she's a martial arts genius. If I'm not wrong, she's very likely awakened the extreme cold Een physique. The terrifying power in her body is mixed with the majestic power of ice and extreme Een aura. This is probably why you rock spirits are so afraid and call her the reincarnation of a devil." Chapter 585. What? Hearing this, Shifang's expression changed slightly, and the group of rock spirit warriors behind him looked at each other in dismay. They didn't seem to know what the innate tyrant body was, let alone the extreme frigidine body that Fei Run had mentioned. "Do you have any evidence for this?" After a few moments of silence, Shifang spoke again with a solemn expression. Although his hunting squad members didn't understand what the innate tyrant body was, he knew a thing or two about it. The innate tyrant body was synonymous with genius. Unlike the acquired tyrant body, which could be cultivated, the innate tyrant body could only be awakened under certain conditions or when the warrior himself was greatly stimulated. From there, he would obtain great power. Moreover, the power of the innate tyrant body could grow along with the improvement of the warrior's cultivation base. It was almost endless. In the long history of the Black Star continent, there were many experts who had mastered the terrifying innate tyrant body. Ordinary warriors couldn't compete with them. Sherlan has awakened the innate tyrant body. Impossible. Could it be that the Great Elder's judgment was wrong? How could this be? He clenched his fists under his sleeves. At this time, Shifang's heart was also a little shaken. Originally, he didn't want to kill Shi Wu and his sister in front of him. Firstly, it was the Great Elder's decision to hunt them down. Secondly, he had received a favor from their dead parents. He was not an ungrateful person. "It's very simple. I'll know once I try." Seeing that Shifang was a little hesitant, Fei Ren summoned the Immortal refining cauldron and said lightly, "As long as he extracted a part of the Immortal refining cauldron's devouring power and channeled it into Sherlan's body, he would know if the innate tyrant body awakened in her body was the rumored extreme colding body. If the innate tyrant body awakened in Sherlan's body was the extreme colding body, it would be just what he wanted. Sherlan, who had awakened the extreme icing physique, was currently unable to control this power on her own, which was why, as Shifang had said earlier, she had accidentally injured many other rock spirit race cultivators and clansmen and been mistaken for the reincarnation of a demon. Right now, Fei Ren's idea was very simple. He wanted to help Sherlan control the extreme frigidine body in her body. At the same time, he wanted to absorb and refine the excess frost energy and extreme Een aura so that he could break through to the 4th level of the martial spirit realm. Saving people was also helping oneself. Fei Ren was not at a disadvantage at all. This was also the reason why he was not in a hurry to leave. "If you're really confident, why don't you give it a try?" Shifang heavily exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and said. If the other party could really get rid of the terrifying power in Sherlan's body, he would be happy to accept it. At least he wouldn't have to bring Sherlan back to the clan. He knew very well that with the temperament of the Rock Spirit clan's Great Elder, Sherlan would die as soon as she returned to the clan. "Captain, are we going to believe this kid's words so easily? How am I supposed to explain this to the Grand Elder? In my opinion, let's do it." At this time, A tall Rock Spirit Clan warrior urged his wolf forward and said in a vigilant tone. At the same time, the greedy wolf under his feet let out a low growl, as if it was going to pounce on Fei Run at any time. This kid is an outsider after all. What ability does he have to question the Grand Elder's deduction? This subordinate thinks that we should immediately bring back Shi Wu and his sister and report to the Grand Elder, so as to eliminate all future troubles. That's right. I don't know where this nobody came from, but he dares to talk nonsense here. I think he's just talking nonsense. As the voice fell, the other Rock Spirit Clan warriors also began to talk. They looked at Fei Run with eyes full of hostility and vigilance, as if they did not believe the other party's words. After all, the Rock Spirit Clan was isolated from the outside world and did not know each other. Naturally, they did not have a good impression of Fei Run, who had suddenly appeared. A bunch of idiots. It seems that they don't understand human language. Seeing this scene, Fei Run only smiled coldly and then put away the Immortal refining cauldron. Since the soft approach did not work, he could only use the hard approach. Right now, if Shirlan awakened the ice-cold, extremine body in her body and absorbed the majestic power of ice and extremine chi, he could break through to LV4 martial spirit realm. Therefore, he would not give up this opportunity. Kid, how dare you scold me? You're courting death. In the face of Fei Ren's mockery, the Rock Spirit Clan warrior was furious on the spot. His face turned red, and in the next moment, he urged his greedy wolf to attack. Let's attack together and kill him. Go. Immediately after, the other Rock Spirit Clan warriors swarmed forward, intending to kill Fei Ren in front of them. Be careful. Seeing Fei Ren being besieged by a group of Rock Spirit Clan warriors, Shi Wu immediately exclaimed. Shirlan, who was in his arms, had a slight change in expression. Then, she subconsciously closed her eyes as if she did not want to see the bloody scene that would follow. Boom! Woo! Woo! Just as countless Yuan Chi attacks were about to land on Fei Ren's body, a crimson golden light suddenly exploded. In the next moment, the group of Rock Spirit Clan warriors besieging Fei Ren spat out blood and retreated. At the same time, the greedy wolf under their feet was also severely injured. It howled miserably and fell to the ground with blood staining it. Fei Ren's figure was still standing quietly in the same place. At the same time, a golden Buddha shadow appeared behind him. There was a red dot in the middle of his eyebrows, and his entire body grew by more than 10 feet. As for the Yuan Chi attacks of the crowd, they all turned into nothingness. Not even a hair on his body was harmed. After all, his Yuan Chi cultivation was at LV3 martial spirit realm. Coupled with the strong defensive power of the Dharma Golden Buddha body, even a Tier 7 spiritual treasure could not break through his protective Yuan Chi, let alone a group of Rock Spirit Clan warriors who had not even touched the martial spirit realm. Attacking him was undoubtedly like an ant trying to shake a tree. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, Shifang was also dumbfounded. His face was filled with shock as if he had seen a ghost. Most of the Rock Spirit Clan warriors under their command were experts above LV8 Martial Master Realm. However, facing Fei Run in front of them, they were all wiped out in less than a breath's time. Glancing at Shifang, who was not far away, Fei Ren's face was calm. He did not attack again. Instead, he jumped in front of the Rock Spirit Clan warrior who had questioned him earlier. What do you want? I'm from the Rock Spirit Clan. Looking at the approaching Fei Run, the Rock Spirit Clan warrior subconsciously took a few steps back. Then, he staggered and sat on the ground, his voice uneasy. He was only at the 9th level of the Martial Master Realm. After seeing Fei Ren's powerful strength, he naturally did not dare to have any thoughts of resistance. Don't be nervous. How about I give you something? Fei Ren grinned as he looked at the Rock Spirit martial practitioner who was scared out of his wits and said indifferently, What is it? Asked the Rock Spirit Clan warrior subconsciously. He swallowed his saliva. He did not expect Fei Ren's temper to be so good. In the face of his doubts, the other party intended to return good for evil. I'll send you to hell. The corner of Fei Rin's mouth rose. In the next moment, a glass fire suddenly gushed out from the palm of his right hand. It immediately swallowed the Rock Spirit Clan warrior in front of him, turning him into a handful of scorched earth. Not even the remains of his corpse remained. Chapter 586. Looking at the rock spirit martial artist who had died tragically in Fei Rin's hands, everyone present, including Shi Wu and his sister, was stunned and shocked. After all, the other party's strength was suffocating. This guy really holds a grudge. Not far away, Shifang also clenched his fists, his heart tightening. Previously, it was the rock spirit martial artist who had questioned Fei Rin's judgment and intended to kill him, but was killed instead. After Fei Rin killed the rock spirit martial artist, he did not continue to kill. His intention was obvious, which was to make an example out of them. In addition, there was another possibility, which was that Shifang and the group of rock spirit martial artists in front of him were too weak and were not worthy of Fei Rin's attack. Protect the captain. Suddenly, just as the atmosphere gradually reached a stalemate, a violent roar came from afar. Swoosh! 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 In the next moment, the other surviving rock spirit martial artists scattered in all directions. At the same time, they circulated Yuan power in their hands, their hand gestures changing constantly as if they were forming some kind of seal. These guys still want to fight. Seeing this scene, Fei Rin could not help but frown slightly. He had deliberately let the other party go, but the group of rock spirit martial artists in front of him did not seem to appreciate it. The seal flickered, and then the rock spirit martial artists blasted the ground with their palms. Accompanied by a tremor, sturdy brown walls broke out of the ground, like an artificial cage, trapping Fei Rin in the center. Controlling the power of the earth element? It seems that this is the unique ability of the rock spirit clan. Reaching out to touch his nose, Fei Rin was slightly surprised. This was the first time he had seen a member of the rock spirit clan use a special ability. As for the brown walls that surrounded him, they were also formed from pure earth elements. This kind of energy was different from the origin energy that martial artists cultivated. It was a natural energy, and its power was stronger by a bit. However, the only drawback was that it was limited and could not last long. If this was not a grassland, but an ocean, these rock spirits would not be able to control the power of the earth element, which was equivalent to being crippled. This person is too strong. You're no match for him. Seeing that his subordinate had trapped Fei Rin with the earth elemental energy, Shifang's expression changed slightly. Although Fei Rin's figure was temporarily trapped, he knew in his heart that the other party was definitely not easy to deal with. His true strength had not erupted yet. Captain, hurry up and leave. Go back and tell the great elder that we'll hold him here. A rock spirit cultivator landed in front of Shifang and said in a hurried tone. At the same time, his hands were still forming seals, as if he was afraid that Fei Rin would escape from the cage. Boom! Right at this moment, another loud rumble was heard. In the next moment, spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the high wall cage formed by the earth elements. Then, it collapsed and turned into dust. You guys are so annoying. Taking a step forward, Fei Rin reached out and brushed off the dust on his robe, his face cold. He's actually fine. Seeing that Fei Rin was unscathed again, Shifang and the other rock spirit cultivators were also shocked, as if they had seen a ghost. No one had expected that even the cage formed by the earth elemental energy could not trap Fei Rin for more than a few seconds. The other party's strength was actually so strong. Big brother, this person is so strong. On the other side, looking at Fei Rin, who was fighting 1 against 10, Shirlan, who was in Shi Wu's arms, also blushed slightly and exclaimed in surprise. There was a strange look in her eyes as she looked at the other party, as if some kind of emotion had been stirred. I didn't expect that even Big Brother Shifang would not be a match for this person, scratching his head, Shi Wu said helplessly. He seemed to have noticed the slight change in his sister's expression. In the Rock Spirit clan, the strong were always respected. Sherlan was only a 14 or 15-year-old girl in the prime of her youth. Facing the powerful and handsome Fei Run, it was natural for a young girl to have feelings for him. You're their leader, right? Do you still want to fight? Fei Ren turned his gaze and looked at the shocked Shi Fong as he spoke in an indifferent tone. After a moment of silence, Shi Fong gave a bitter smile and said, "With your Excellency's strength, it won't be a problem for you to kill us. We are not your Excellency's match at all. Then don't talk nonsense. Take your people and get out of here." Fei Ren didn't wait for the other party to finish speaking before he waved his hand again. In the next moment, he arrived in front of the siblings. "Let's go back to the clan." Seeing this, Shi Fong had a helpless look on his face. He then took the few remaining rock spirit cultivators and hurriedly left. Although he did not bring back the siblings, he still gained a little. He knew that the terrifying power in Sherlan's body was the innate tyrant body. The other party was not the reincarnation of a demon that harmed the rock spirit clan. When he returned to the clan and reported to the Great Elder, he would not be punished. After Shi Fong and the others left, Shiwu also breathed a sigh of relief. This way, his sister's life was saved. "Thank you, benefactor." Looking at Fei Ren in front of her, the weak Sherlan slowly stood up. She wanted to bow to the other party, but in the next moment, she was caught by the other party. At the same time, he grabbed her wrist. "Benefactor, what are you?" Seeing Fei Ren's actions, Shiwu was quite surprised and instinctively followed. "Relax your body and don't put any mental burden on it. I will help you deal with the excess ice energy and extreme yin energy in your body and teach you how to control them and gradually become stronger. You don't want to be protected by your big brother forever, right?" Fei Ren ignored Shiwu's confusion as he spoke unhurriedly. At the same time, strands of devouring energy flowed out of his palm. "Okay." Nodding obediently, Sherlan immediately complied with the other party's wishes and let down all her guard. She did not know why, but when she heard Fei Ren's words, she felt extremely at ease. Perhaps it was because he had saved her and her big brother's lives, or perhaps it was because he had mentioned that he could help her become stronger so that she would not be a burden to Shiwu. Good heavens! This girl's dantian is filled with such massive amounts of ice energy and extreme yin energy. Both of them occupy more than half of her origin power, and this girl's origin power is less than 10%. No wonder she can't control it, and sometimes accidentally injure people. As the devouring energy slowly flowed into Sherlan's meridians and flowed to her body and dantian, Fei Ren's expression became more and more emotional and surprised. She had indeed awakened the rare, innate tyrant body, the extreme icing body. In terms of pure strength, this tyrant body was several times stronger than Gao Yunshin's void devouring origin body and the celestial arcanum sex disciple Imo Chuandao's infinite ice emperor body. It was the type that had extremely destructive power. Since that's the case, let me be a good person for once. Collecting his thoughts, Fei Ren began to use the divine refining cauldron's devouring energy to slowly absorb the excess ice energy and extreme yin energy in Sherlan's body. At the same time, he continued to strengthen his origin power cultivation. Another hour elapsed. LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. Accompanied by a throbbing in his dantian, Fei Ren retracted his palm with a gratified look on his face. After absorbing the excess ice energy and extreme yin energy in Sherlan's body, his origin power cultivation finally stepped into LV4 Martial Spirit Realm as he wished. Sherlan's body was also temporarily under control. She would not go berserk and injure people because she could not control the power of the innate tyrant body. "Benefactor, is my sister's health better?" Seeing that Fei Ren had stopped, Shiwu stepped forward and asked nervously, "What's the matter?" Chapter 587. "I'm fine now, but it's only temporary." Fei Ren exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and said indifferently. He had absorbed all the excess frost power and extreme yin qi in Sherlan's body. However, she had already awakened the extreme frosting body. The extreme frosting body would continue to release frost power and extreme yin qi. If Sherlan couldn't completely master this power, she might still go berserk and hurt people in the future. Therefore, Fei Rin still had to teach her how to master the innate hegemonic body. How could this be? Shi Wu's face darkened. If his sister's body couldn't recover, it meant that they would be abandoned by the Rock Spirit clan. They would never be able to return to the clan and could only wander outside. Brother, I'm fine. Seeing Shi Wu's pale face, Sherlan, who had slightly recovered from her injuries, felt her heart ache. She said weakly in a low voice. Earlier, Fei Rin had not only used his devouring power to remove the excess frost power and extreme yin qi in her body, but he had also helped her heal her injuries. After all, other than being powerful, he was also a grade 7 alchemist. He had many high-grade healing pills on him. Sherlan, how are your injuries? Fei Rin looked at Sherlan in front of him and asked. Although she couldn't control the power of the earth element and wasn't a traditional member of the Rock Spirit clan, Sherlan also cultivated origin power. However, her cultivation base was much weaker. She was only around grade 7 high star realm. She hadn't even reached the martial master realm. As a grade 7 alchemist, it wasn't difficult for him to heal the injuries of a high star realm martial artist. Benefactor, I feel much better, Sherlan nodded and said softly. Earlier, she had swallowed a few pills that she had obtained from Fei Rin. The injuries on her body had quickly healed. Even the scabs and scars hadn't been left behind. It was truly miraculous. You don't have to call me your benefactor. Just call me Fei Rin. Although I helped you and your sister this time, I also received a lot of benefits. In response to Sherlan's gratitude, Fei Rin waved his hand and said, Next, I will teach you a cultivation method. Through cultivating this cultivation method, you can control the power of the extreme icy yin body. At the same time, you can use it and greatly increase your strength. However, the extent to which you're able to grasp this power will depend entirely on your own talent and fortune. Changing the topic, Fei Rin's tone became even more solemn. What he was about to impart to the other party was his own cultivation technique, the Dharma 1000 conversion technique. However, it wasn't the complete Dharma 1000 conversion technique. Instead, it was a simplified version of the Dharma 1000 conversion technique that he had personally comprehended. Although it was only a simplified version of the Dharma 1000 conversion technique, its power was not weak at all. It was also far superior to ordinary rank 7 cultivation methods and infinitely close to rank 8 cultivation methods. If Sherlan could successfully cultivate it, it would be enough to support her extreme icy yin body. Hearing this, Sherlan's pretty face was slightly stunned. After hesitating for a moment, she finally nodded resolutely. Sister, just as Shi Wu was about to speak, he was interrupted by Sherlan. Big brother, I want to become stronger too. That way, I can protect you in the future and not always hide behind you. Hearing this, Shi Wu pursed his lips and sighed. He did not say anything. Then let's begin. Without further ado, Fei Rin spent the rest of the day meditating and honing his alchemy skills while teaching Sherlan the simplified version of the Dharma 1000 transformation art. Although Shi Wu was just a bystander, he also gained a lot of martial arts insights from Fei Rin's cultivation and teaching. Unlike Sherlan, Shi Wu's origin power cultivation was at the rank 7 martial master realm. Although his cultivation did not break through while he was observing, his martial arts improved a lot and reached the complete realm. Unknowingly, another day passed. Outside, the heavenly demon's secret realm, in front of a hill. Earth wall technique. Shi Wu formed a seal with his hands and slapped his palms on the ground, summoning a thick earth wall that was dozens of feet tall. It looked quite strong. This was a special ability exclusive to the Rock Spirit race. Without using too much origin power, the martial artist could directly communicate with nature and control the earth element to transform into various objects to defend against enemies or even escape through the ground. Sister, attack with all your might. Shi Wu stuck half his head out from behind the earth wall and yelled at Sherlan. Okay. Looking at the tall and thick earthen wall not far away, Sherlon took a deep breath as a tinge of redness appeared on her delicate and pretty face. In the next instant, surging yuan power gushed out from her left palm and condensed into a huge, icy blue ball of light. Even the temperature of the surrounding air dropped a little. Huh! Sherlan's face was resolute as she threw out her palm. In the next moment, the icy blue ball of light shot out and blasted toward the tall earth wall in front of Sherwu. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the icy blue ball of light violently bombarded the tall earthen wall. The earthen wall instantly shattered and turned into a pile of dust. However, the icy blue ball of light did not lose its momentum and continued to fall toward Sherwu. So powerful! Facing the icy blue ball of light, Sherwu's face changed slightly. Although his strength was far superior to his sister Sherlan's, he suddenly felt a strong sense of threat in the face of this icy blue ball of light. Oh no! Withdraw. Sherlan seemed to have realized that she had used too much strength. Just as the icy blue ball of light was about to hit Sherwu's body, she shouted and immediately withdrew her origin power attack. The icy blue ball of light disintegrated and turned into nothingness. I didn't expect this girl to be so smart. On the opposite side of the hill, Fei Run, who was standing in the air, was slightly surprised. At this moment, his gaze also fell on the petite Sherlan below. He had only taught her the simplified version of the Dharma 1000 transformation technique for a few days. However, not only had Sherlan mastered this technique, but she had also learned how to use the power of her innate dominating body. The palm strike just now was supported by the power of the extreme Frostine body. Even though Sherwu's cultivation was at level 7 martial master, if he did not defend with all his might, there was a high chance that he would have been defeated and injured by the power of ice and the aura of extreme Yin. Looks like I should leave now. Feiren glanced at Sherwu and his sister once more. A smile appeared on his face as he disappeared in the next moment. In front of the hill, sister, it's a success. You have completely mastered the power in your body. Seeing that the icy blue ball of light had disappeared, Sherwu also let out a sigh of relief. The next moment, he flew in front of Sherlan, his face full of joy. Brother, this is all thanks to Brother Fei Run. Brother Fei Run? Hearing Sherwu's praise, Sherlan's face turned red, as if she was a little embarrassed. The next moment, she turned her head to look in the other direction, as if she was looking for Fei Ren. However, Fei Ren was already nowhere to be seen. That's right. Where is our benefactor? At this moment, Sherwu also scratched his head and looked around. However, he did not find anything either. Sister, our benefactor seems to have left. After a moment of silence, Sherwu sighed again. Obviously, after teaching Sherlan the technique and teaching her how to control the power of her innate dominating body, Fei Run had quietly left this place. Chapter 588. Has he left? Sherlan was stunned for a moment, then fell silent. Sister, as long as we continue to cultivate and become stronger, we will definitely have the chance to see our benefactor again in the future. Seeing that his sister was silent and seemed to be a little disappointed, Sherwu scratched his head and said in a firm tone. Now that Sherlan had completely grasped the power of the innate tyrant body and had obtained a powerful cultivation method from Fei Run, they finally did not have to hide and be feared. They could return to the Rock Spirit tribe openly. Yes. Faced with Sherwu's safety, Sherlan nodded gently, as if hope had been reignited in her heart. At the same time, Fei Ren was also moving deeper into the Sky Demon's secret realm. Swoosh! Fei Ren's figure pierced through the air, and in the next moment, he slowly landed in front of a large ancient city. At this moment, there was an endless stream of people at the city gate. Most of them were young geniuses above the martial spirit realm, and only a small number of them were martial masters. Northern Liang City, a larger gathering point in the central region. Compared to the stone town he had stayed in before, Northern Liang City was not only larger in size, but its defenses were also stronger. At the same time, it could accommodate more warriors. Whenever danger came at night, this city could also bring some peace of mind to the warriors who came and went. After all, Northern Yang City had a stronger defense. Even in the face of the beast horde, the warriors who rested in Northern Liang City could deal with it calmly without fear. After a while, Fei Ren entered the city. Then, he found a remote corner of a tavern and sat down. At the same time, he ordered a few pots of spirit wine and began to taste it. I heard that the Enlightenment platform appeared near the heavenly mountain outside the city, attracting many geniuses to fight for it. I wonder if it's true. After 3 rounds of wine, a man's voice faintly sounded, causing Fei Ren to stop what he was doing. "Brother, are you serious? It can't be. Won't that cause another bloody storm?" As soon as he finished speaking, a man in green at a table not far away also exclaimed softly. At the same time, he looked at his companion in surprise. "I'm a grandson if I lie to you. The Enlightenment platform must have appeared. Even the geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking are rushing to the Heavenly Mountain. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by, even in the Sky Demon Secret Realm." On the other side of the table, a curly, bearded man cursed. His tone was filled with emotion, as if the remembrance platform he spoke of was extremely powerful. The Enlightenment platform. Fei Ren narrowed his eyes and then collected his thoughts. The conversation between the two fell into his ears. Although he did not know much about the remembrance platform that the two of them were talking about, he still had some understanding of it. The Enlightenment platform was a unique existence in the Sky Fey mystic realm. Although it looked like an ordinary stone platform, it could allow one to relax and enter an ethereal state. At the same time, it could remove all distracting thoughts from one's mind and allow one to feel the true essence of heaven and earth and nature and comprehend supreme techniques. A very long time ago, many martial artists were enlightened on the expelling platform. From there, they obtained supreme merit laws and martial arts, greatly increasing their strength. In the future, they even became famous in the Eastern continent or even the entire Black Star continent. As a result, the Enlightenment platform's reputation spread. However, the chances of the Enlightenment platform appearing were uncertain. It could appear in every corner of the Heavenly Demon's secret realm. Moreover, whether one could comprehend supreme techniques and martial arts from it depended on one's innate talent and comprehension ability. Luck alone was far from enough. I did not expect the Enlightenment platform to appear nearby. I cannot miss such an opportunity. After finishing the last jug of wine in his hand, Fei Ren's eyes revealed a fiery passion. The Heavenly Mountain was not far from the gathering point of Northern Liang City. It was less than a few hundred miles away. He could reach there in less than 10 minutes. Swoosh! Fei Ren took out a few mid-grade primordial stones from his spirit ring and threw them at the counter. In the next moment, he turned and left the tavern, flying toward the city gate not far away. At the same time, on the other side of the Sky Fey mystic realm, in front of an open space in the dense forest, more than a dozen corpses were lying on the ground. Blood flowed like a river in the surroundings. Only a middle-aged man in tight clothes stood where he was. At that moment, his hair was disheveled and his body was covered in blood. His eyes were filled with endless fear. In front of him was a tall and skinny young man in a black robe with a long sword in his hand. Clang! Perhaps because he could not control the fear in his heart, the middle-aged man's right hand trembled slightly. In the next moment, the weapon in his hand fell to the ground. "Kid, who are you?" With a loud shout, the middle-aged man subconsciously took a few steps back. He was a martial artist who had entered the Sky Fey mystic realm to train. He came from a rank 5 family in the Eastern continent. As for the corpses around him, they were also his guards when they were alive. Moreover, all of them had a cultivation level above the martial spirit realm. In addition, his primordial power cultivation was also at level 4 martial spirit realm. However, facing the young man in a black robe with a long sword in his hand, the middle-aged man could not resist at all. In less than 3 moves, he was defeated. At the same time, all of his martial spirit realm guards were killed. He was the only one left. "My name is Sword Emperor." In the face of the middle-aged man's question, the young man in a black robe replied coldly. At the same time, his body moved and instantly appeared in front of the middle-aged man. "Sword Emperor?" The middle-aged man's throat moved. Before he could react, he felt a chill in his chest. At the same time, half of his body was stained with blood. He saw that the long sword in the young man's hand had already pierced into his chest. At the same time, his heart meridian was completely shattered. Plop! The reason in his eyes gradually dissipated. In the next moment, the middle-aged man fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Ugh! Just after the middle-aged man died, the young man in a black robe suddenly knelt on the ground. At the same time, he grabbed his head with both hands and let out a series of painful roars. His eyes became extremely red. Even the long sword in his hand fell to the side. Who am I? Scorching Sun, sect disciple Gao Yinshin, or the former Sword Emperor Lu Wuxiang? How could this be? Which of my memories is the real one? The originally delicate and handsome face of the black-robed young man became distorted and crazy as the unfamiliar memories and the waves of intense pain continued to surge into his mind. His teeth were clenched so hard that they emitted cracking sounds. It was as though he was experiencing an unusual mental torture at this moment. In front of the dense forest, a cool breeze blew gently. After an unknown period of time, the young man in a black robe finally stopped roaring and trembling. In the next moment, he slowly raised his head. A pair of black eyes shot out a piercing light, as if it contained a supreme sword force. "I remember now," the young man in a black robe said in a solemn tone. At the same time, the corner of his mouth revealed an inexplicable smile. "I'm not Gao Yinshin, nor am I anyone else. I am the Sword Emperor Lu Wuxiang, the mystique venerable realm expert whose name shook the eastern continent in the past." Chapter 589. At that moment, Gao Yinshin finally recalled his memories of the past. His exceptional talent in swordsmanship and the void-devouring energy constitution were not coincidences. They were fated. All of this stemmed from his extraordinary identity. In the Black Star continent, powerhouses above the Martial King realm could possess another's body to prevent their Danteon and nascent soul from being destroyed, allowing them to be reborn. However, this kind of possession was not only complicated, but also had a high failure rate. One needed to find a martial artist with a compatible physique and at the same time destroy the host's will and soul. Any carelessness could result in the host's soul being killed instead. However, Gao Yinshin did not rely on possession to be reborn in his past life, but through reincarnation. In his past life, he was a famous swordsman in the Eastern continent. His name was Lu Wuxiang, and he was known as the Sword Emperor. The mystique venerable realm was known as the first of the three mystique spirit realms. Once a martial artist entered this realm, their Danteon and nascent soul would evolve into a special life form and gain powerful abilities. At the same time, their strength would increase tremendously, giving them the power to move mountains and overturn seas. They could even perform the forbidden reincarnation technique. However, although the reincarnation technique was magical and had a higher success rate than possession, not all mystique venerable realm powerhouses could perform it. Only when one's origin energy cultivation had reached mystique venerable rank, and at the same time, when one's spirit had broken through the 9th level of the profound martial realm and reached the Earthgate realm, could one use the reincarnation technique to temporarily seal the memories of one's past life and reincarnate. As for the Earthgate realm, it was a symbol of powerful mentality. It was divided into 3 levels: lower, middle, and upper. A martial artist who entered this realm could not only defeat a grade 9 alchemist in terms of mentality, but could also fight against a mystique venerable realm powerhouse. It was rumored that above the Earthgate realm was the Heaven Gate realm. However, there were very few martial artists whose mentality could break through the Heaven Gate realm. Even in the entire Black Star continent, they were a rare existence. Fei Ren, speaking of which, I have to thank you. Gao Yunshen took a deep breath and slowly straightened his body. At the same time, he raised his hand and summoned his qi, retrieving the Shangyang sword that had fallen to the ground. A smile appeared on his slightly tanned face. This time, the reason why he unsealed the memories of his previous life in advance was also related to the crisis he had encountered in Stone City. Facing the encirclement of a group of night gang warriors, he had almost lost his life to Yiyu. In addition, he had witnessed Fei Ren's powerful strength. Gao Yunshen, who was also the former Sword Emperor Lu Wuxiang, was deeply affected by all of this. As a former mystique, venerable rank almighty, the dignified Sword Emperor, even though he had reincarnated into an ordinary disciple of the Scorching Sun sect, he did not lose the pride in his heart. Back then, as the #1 newcomer of the Scorching Sun sect, his arrogance and indifference did not come from nowhere. All of this was inherited from the memories of his previous life as the Sword Emperor. Although I could roam the heavenly demon mystic realm freely in my previous life, my cultivation base is still too weak in this life. Even if I've mastered all 5 moves of the Sword Emperor and unleashed the full power of the void, devouring Yuan physique, I still wouldn't be able to kill someone who's a whole realm higher than me. Now, the best course of action is to recover my strength as soon as possible. Lu Wuxiang slowly withdrew his Shangyang sword as a look of contemplation flashed across his starry eyes. Now that he had unsealed the memories of his previous life, his origin energy cultivation base had also broken through as he wished, stepping in a level 4 martial spirit realm. However, with this level of strength, it was still far from enough to roam the heavenly demon mystic realm. Even as a mystique, venerable rank almighty in his previous life, Lu Wuxiang could not roam the heavenly demon mystic realm alone. In the depths of the mystic realm, there were also some existences that he feared. This was also the reason why the heavenly demon mystic realm had never been fully explored. Not only were there extremely powerful demonic beasts residing in the depths of the mystic realm, but there were also various foreign race experts. It was difficult to establish a gathering point for human martial artists, let alone explore it further. Swoosh! A gust of wind blew under his feet as Lu Wuxiang left the dense forest in the next moment. As for the spirit rings left behind by the middle-aged man and the others, he did not search for them. After all, as the former Sword Emperor of the Eastern Continent and a dignified mystique venerable rank powerhouse, he naturally would not be interested in the items of these martial spirit realm minions. Moreover, with the memories of the past mystique venerable rank powerhouse and his powerful talent in swordsmanship, it was very easy for Lu Wuxiang to increase his strength. The mysterious techniques, unique skills, and comprehension of swordsmanship in his mind were the only ways for him to become stronger. At the foot of the heavenly mountain, before Fei Ren even got close, he could already feel a powerful and mysterious aura surging towards him. A faint fog appeared in the sky, and it was as if the entire world was floating in a fairyland. In the depths of the fairyland, a few ancient stone platforms floated in the air, floating at the peak of Sky Mountain. Is that the rumored expunging platform? Fei Ren's eyes narrowed as he was shocked. He then sped up again and flew toward the heavenly mountain not far away. If he could obtain an expunging platform, he would have the opportunity to comprehend the essence of martial arts. From there, he would be able to comprehend powerful cultivation techniques and martial arts to increase his strength. However, there were very few expunging platforms floating at the peak of the heavenly mountain. There were only about 10 of them. On the other hand, there were many martial artists gathered at the peak of the heavenly mountain. At the same time, there were also many martial artists rushing over. It was obvious that they wanted to fight for one of the platforms. After all, the expunging platform had the unique effect of emptying a martial artist's mind, removing distracting thoughts, and comprehending cultivation techniques and martial arts. It was very difficult for a martial artist not to be tempted. There are only 2 left. At the peak of the heavenly mountain, Fei Ren looked around and realized that most of the expunging platforms had already been taken. Out of the 10 expunging platforms, only 2 were empty. One of them was at the bottom left, while the other was at the highest point of the expunging platforms. It was almost separated from the clouds. Do you also want to fight for a seat on the expunging platform? Fei Ren leaped up. Just as he was about to land on the leftmost expunging platform, a cold male voice rang out. In the next moment, a tall young man in a black robe appeared out of nowhere. At the same time, he stopped Fei Ren with a smile on his face. The young man in the black robe was tall, and his eyes were brimming with vigor. At the same time, his arms were powerful. Even though he was just standing there was an oppressive feeling that spread without being angry. It caused people to be fearful. Facing the young man in the black robe who stopped him, Fei Ren squinted his eyes. The young man was none other than one of the famous young geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking, Wang Kai, who was ranked 167th. Wang Kai wasn't weak. Other than possessing origin power cultivation of level 6 martial spirit realm, he also possessed the power of the innate dominating body. Among martial artists of the same rank, there were few who could match him. He was many times stronger than Yi Jinglei and the others from the Yi clan. Hence, with Wang Kai blocking him, it wouldn't be easy for Fei Ren to obtain a seat on the expunging platform. Brother Wang, there is another expunging platform here. Wouldn't it be great if we minded our own business? Fei Ren shifted his gaze and looked at the unoccupied, expunging platform at the top of the Sky Mountain. He spoke unhurriedly as though he wasn't in a hurry to fight with Wang Kai. No, I only want this one. Shaking his head, Wang Kai chuckled as he spoke. A powerful Yuan power aura spread outwards. Looks like this battle is unavoidable. After he spoke, Fei Ren smiled coldly again. At the same time, he reached for the Azure Dragon Star's halberd behind him. It was obvious that Wang Kai had purposely come looking for him. He couldn't back down. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to keep his seat on the expunging platform. Chapter 590. Attack. Facing Fei Ren's action, Wang Kai chuckled and dashed out. That's exactly what I want. Dragon Claw. The 5 fingers on his left hand twisted and turned into a strange claw. Wang Kai's whole body seemed to have turned into a ghostly shadow as he rushed towards Fei Ren. In an instant, the claw covered the sky and origin energy swept in all directions. An extremely terrifying aura spread out. As one of the famous geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking, Wang Kai's strength was indeed something. The power of the claw was not something an ordinary warrior could withstand. If someone below LV4 Martial Spirit Realm was hit by it, they would be seriously injured, if not killed. Swoosh! Seeing Wang Kai take the lead, Fei Ren's eyes were filled with endless fighting spirit. Then, he held the Green Dragon Star halberd tightly in his right hand and tilted it to meet Wang Kai's claw. Clang clang! The halberd pierced through the sky. Then, the sharp halberd head of the Green Dragon Star halberd and Wang Kai's left claw fiercely collided. The power of the spiritual inscriptions and the power of the stars exploded at the same time. There was a crisp and ear-piercing sound of metal, as if it had hit an indestructible iron plate. Although the Green Dragon Star halberd was a Tier 7 spiritual treasure, Wang Kai's claw was also powerful. Moreover, Wang Kai seemed to have a strong physique. Ordinary spiritual treasures could not break through his defense. Therefore, Fei Ren could not injure Wang Kai with this attack. It could only be considered a 50-50 chance. Bang! Wang Kai turned his claw into a palm and hit the Green Dragon Star halberd. In the next moment, Wang Kai's figure turned into an afterimage and landed behind the sky. He was slightly surprised. What a powerful strength. Although this kid's cultivation is only at LV4 Martial Spirit Realm, his strength and explosive power are not weaker than mine. Although the previous exchange was only a test, the strength of Fei Ren in front of him was enough to surprise him. After all, Wang Kai was only at LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. It was rare for him to be able to fight on par with him, a hidden dragon ranking genius with a Tier 7 spiritual treasure. Although Wang Kai hadn't used his full strength in the previous battle, he was still able to defeat Wang Kai. However, he knew clearly in his heart that since Fei Ren had the guts to fight for a seat on the enlightenment platform with him, Fei Ren definitely had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. Shua. After Wang Kai retreated, Fei Ren didn't immediately take advantage of the situation to pursue him. Instead, he secretly circulated his Yuan Qi and at the same time withdrew his halberd and placed it beside his feet. Wang Kai was a powerful opponent and a genius ranked on the Hidden Dragon rank. It would not be easy for him to kill Wang Kai in a short period of time. What a powerful guy. He can actually fight evenly with Wang Kai, who is ranked 167th on the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. He's only at LV 4 Martial Spirit Realm. Although he has a Tier 7 Spirit Treasure, it's not enough to make up for the difference of 2 levels. This person should be a genius from some sect or family. That's right. However, Wang Kai isn't someone to be trifled with. I heard that he possesses the power of the innate overlord body. Ordinary martial artists of the same level aren't his match. Seeing that Fei Ren and Wang Kai were fighting for a seat on the enlightenment platform on the peak of Sky Mountain, the spectating martial artists started to discuss among themselves. They were shocked when they looked at the two of them, which instantly attracted a lot of attention. After all, even in the Sky Monster Secret Realm, the crowd rarely had the chance to see a genius ranked on the Hidden Dragon ranking like Wang Kai fight. Compared to ordinary martial artists, the young geniuses who were ranked on the Hidden Dragon ranking were all very powerful. It wouldn't be difficult for them to fight someone of a higher level. This person seems to be a disciple of the Scorching Sun sect. I think his name is Fei Ren. In the crowd, a rogue martial artist exclaimed. He seemed to have recognized Fei Ren. Fei Ren? What's the Scorching Sun sect? It doesn't seem to be a powerful sect. I've never heard of this name before. Who knows? Perhaps this kid really has a chance to defeat Wang Kai. The crowd started to discuss again. Don't forget that Wang Kai hasn't used the power of the innate overlord body. This Fei Ren is definitely not his match. However, a bald man at the side suddenly said in a disdainful tone. He didn't seem to be optimistic about Wang Kai's chances. On the peak of Sky Mountain, the battle between Fei Ren and Wang Kai was still intense. However, it was all bark and no bite. Various origin energy attacks clashed against each other. Both of them only had their robes slightly tattered, but they didn't suffer any injuries. The scene was a little strange. Your strength is not bad. You deserve my full strength. Another claw blasted out and sent the green dragon star halberd flying. The next moment, Wang Kai roared. At the same time, his aura changed drastically. A strange pattern appeared at the corner of his eyes, making him look like a clown in a Beijing opera. Overlord body, open. Wang Kai clasped his hands together and formed some kind of seal. Then, a majestic and boundless Yuanli aura gushed out from Wang Kai's body and spread out in all directions. At the same time, his back trembled violently, and 6 new arms grew out from his back. He looked just like Neza from the Legends. It was very strange. This guy is finally going to use his full strength. On the other side of the sky, Fei Ren took a deep breath when he saw the changes in Wang Kai's body. His eyes were solemn. In addition to the 6 new arms, Wang Kai's origin energy cultivation had also increased greatly. Now, he was infinitely close to LV8 Martial Spirit Realm. Obviously, Wang Kai had used the power of the innate overlord body. He planned to end the battle quickly and completely defeat Fei Ren. It's the innate overlord body. It's finally appeared. Wang Kai's trump card. This Fei Ren is probably finished. I heard that Wang Kai's 8-armed spiritual body is extremely powerful. Not only can it increase the martial artist's strength, but the 8 arms can also cooperate with each other to launch a joint attack that has no blind spots. It's hard to avoid or even impossible to guard against. At this time, there were several exclamations from the spectators. It seemed that someone had recognized Wang Kai's innate overlord body. 8-armed spiritual body. Is this that guy's innate overlord body? A wisp of azure flame appeared in his palm. Fei Ren also used the Dharma Golden Buddha body. A golden Buddha shadow appeared behind him. Admittedly, Wang Kai had the upper hand in terms of origin energy cultivation and overlord body. However, he still had the trump card of the Immortal Refining Cauldron. The Immortal Refining Cauldron's devouring power lived up to its name. Even Imo Chuandao, a disciple of the Celestial Arcanum sect who had used the Infinite Ice Emperor body, had one of his arms cut off by Fei Ren. This showed the power of the Immortal Refining Cauldron. Acquired overlord body? However, it's futile. Under my 8-armed spiritual body, you're still going to lose. When Wang Kai saw Fei Ren using the Dharma Golden Buddha body, he was slightly surprised. Then he sneered coldly and spoke in a disdainful tone. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Wang Kai's 8 arms spread out like an octopus. Although it was a little funny, it emitted an origin energy aura that made one's heart palpitate. Why don't you give it a try? When he saw the veins, Fei Ren sneered. Then he charged forward. With the power of the Dharma Golden Buddha body, he stabbed his halberd toward Wang Kai. The one who struck first had the advantage. In order to obtain a seat on the Enlightenment platform, he could not afford to lose this battle. Chapter 591. Boom! Wisps of origin energy gushed out from Wang Kai's palm, accompanied by the eruption of spiritual inscriptions. The head of the Azure Dragon Star halberd also flashed with a dark light, bursting out a wisp of powerful star energy, as if it was going to pierce through the void and hit Wang Kai's vital points. Insignificant skill. Facing Fei Ren's violent attack, Wang Kai snorted lightly. At the same time, he used his palm to meet the attack head-on and blasted out a stream of origin energy. Boom! The Azure Dragon Star halberd and the origin energy stream collided fiercely with each other, creating a deafening explosion. The horrifying aftershock swept in all directions, and at the same time, the surrounding martial artists who were watching the battle were horrified and retreated one after another. What a powerful aura! Is this the true strength of a genius on the Hidden Dragon list? I didn't expect that Fei Ren could actually force Wang Kai to use his full strength. Countless eyes were looking at the sky. Facing the fierce battle between Fei Ren and Wang Kai, some of the rogue martial artists in the crowd were also shocked and sighed. At the beginning, no one had expected that Fei Ren, who was only at LV4 Martial Spirit Realm, could fight with Wang Kai to this extent and even force him to use the innate tyrant body, 8-armed spiritual body. Even if Fei Ren was defeated in this battle, it was enough to make him famous. Swish! Boom boom! Fei Ren's attack was broken, but he was not surprised at all. The colored glass fire in his left palm gushed out again, and then turned into a sea of fire, rolling toward Wang Kai in the sky. At the same time, the Azure Dragon Star halberd in his right palm flickered again, turning into countless halberd shadows, and attacked Wang Kai. In a battle between experts, in addition to strength, endurance was also a competition of strength. Although his origin energy cultivation was slightly weaker than his opponent, the capacity of his dantian was far greater than other martial artists of the same level. In terms of endurance and origin energy, Fei Ren was not inferior at all. 8-armed joint attack. With a roar, a large amount of origin energy gushed out from Wang Kai's body. At the same time, the 6 arms on his back lined up like a 1,000-armed guanyin with an imposing manner. Break! Another palm blasted out, and the originally menacing colored glass flame instantly collapsed like snow melting away. Countless halberd shadows that were flying towards Wang Kai were also defeated by the remaining 6 arms. They couldn't even touch the corner of Wang Kai's clothes. Fei Ren, you are very strong, but I must win this battle. Slowly exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Wang Kai's cold face revealed a hint of determination. 8 arms as one. With another roar, Wang Kai exerted force with his 8 arms. Countless streams of yuan power gushed out from Wang Kai's body, instantly turning into a huge dark green yuan power palm that pressed down on Fei Ren. Even half of the peak of Heaven Mountain was covered by it, causing the weather to change. The power of this attack was actually comparable to a grade 9 martial art. Green Dragon Golden Buddha Kill. Facing Wang Kai's strongest attack, Fei Ren didn't dare to be careless. His left hand formed into a fist, and, at the same time, his right hand waved the Green Dragon Star Halberd. The two combined into one, turning into a Yuan power shockwave mixed with the shadow of a Golden Buddha. Ever since the Green Dragon Golden Buddha Kill broke through to the Greater Mastery realm, its power had increased by another level. Now it was also infinitely close to a grade 9 martial art. Boom! Rumble. Under the attentive gazes of countless people, the Yuan power shockwave and the dark green giant palm fiercely collided. The two powerful forces entangled and devoured each other, like two crazy tigers that could not tolerate each other. After a few breaths, they finally exploded, emitting a loud, rumbling sound. In the next moment, the two figures also disappeared from the peak of Heaven Mountain, drowned by the remaining Yuan power. Is it over? A battle of this level is really terrifying. I wonder who will have the last laugh. The spectators were shocked. Their gazes fell on the peak of Heaven Mountain not far away, as if they wanted to know who won in the end. After a few minutes, the remaining Yuan power gradually dissipated, and Fei Ren and Wang Kai's figures appeared again. However, the two of them looked very miserable. It could even be said that they were in a sorry state. Not only were their bodies covered with bloodstains, but their Yuan power auras were also very low. At the same time, they both deactivated their mighty bodies and seemed to be exhausted. I didn't expect that even my 8-armed spiritual body couldn't do anything to you. With your strength, it's impossible for you to come from a small grade 6 sect. Looking up tiredly, Wang Kai looked at Fei run across the sky with a face full of shock. His voice was filled with shock and doubt. Although Fei Ren didn't defeat him, he didn't win this battle either. Strictly speaking, he lost. After all, his opponent's cultivation was only at LV 4 Martial Spirit Realm, which was 2 levels behind him. There are many things that you don't know. Fei Ren reached out to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a strange smile appeared on his handsome face. What? Wang Kai was slightly stunned, and then his pupils suddenly shrank. He saw Fei Ren's figure flash and rushed in front of him again. His opponent still had energy left. Wang Kai suddenly felt uneasy. In the next moment, before Wang Kai could react, Fei Ren suddenly stretched out his hands and grabbed Wang Kai's shoulders. At the same time, a large amount of devouring power gushed out from his palms. Feeling the remaining Yuan power in his dantian quickly flowing away, and seemed to be flowing into Fei Ren's body, Wang Kai's face was filled with horror. However, before he could open his mouth, Fei Ren lifted his leg again and viciously kicked him in the stomach, sending his body flying. Bang! His body flew down to the peak of Sky Mountain, leaving behind a human-shaped deep pit that was stained with blood. Due to the fact that his Dantian's Yuan power was completely drained, and coupled with his severe injuries, Wang Kai was on the verge of death. He didn't even have the strength to move, and could only lie there like a dead fish. It's finally over. Glancing at Wang Kai, who couldn't move, Fei Ren deeply exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Then, he took out a level 7 pill from his spirit ring and swallowed it. At the same time, he used the Yuan power he absorbed to heal his injuries. Wang Kai was indeed a young genius on the Hidden Dragon ranking. Although there wasn't much Yuan power left in his Dantian after an intense battle, it was extremely refined and could be used by Fei Ren to heal his injuries. As the opponents he faced were getting stronger, the trump cards he could use were becoming more limited. The puppet Little White was gradually becoming useless, and the power of the color glass fire wasn't enough to kill these Hidden Dragon ranking geniuses. Hence, Fei Ren could only use the Divine Refining Cauldron's devouring power to deal with Wang Kai. However, in order to not expose the secret of the Divine Refining Cauldron, he usually only used this as a last resort. He didn't dare to use it too often to avoid attracting trouble and assassination. I didn't expect that even Wang Kai, who is ranked 167th on the Hidden Dragon ranking, would be defeated. This kid's strength is actually so terrifying, the 10 seats on the Enlightenment stage have all been taken. It seems like we have no chance at this moment. Seeing that Fei Run had defeated Wang Kai, the martial artists who were watching the battle near Sky Mountain were shocked, as if they had seen a ghost. After all, Wang Kai was one of the famous geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking, while Fei Ren was only a disciple of a small rank 6 sect in the Eastern continent. They weren't on the same level. At the beginning of the battle, no one had expected that Wang Kai, a rank 6 martial spirit realm genius on the Hidden Dragon ranking, would be defeated by Fei Run. Chapter 592. At that moment, the scene of Fei Ren defeating Wang Kai was witnessed by the other Hidden Dragon role geniuses. After all, when the two of them were fighting for the seats on the Enlightenment platform, the other 8 platforms had already been occupied by the Hidden Dragon role geniuses. This lad is not simple. In the sky, Wu Patian, who had just finished comprehending, sat cross-legged on the Enlightenment platform. His face was solemn as he looked at Fei Run with a tinge of fear in his eyes. He had also witnessed the battle between Wang Kai and Wang Kai. It had to be said that Fei Run was indeed powerful. He had actually defeated Wang Kai, who was ranked 167th on the Hidden Dragon roll. Although he was from the Martial Alliance, rank 4 force, and was at rank 7 Martial Spirit Realm, his overall strength was only slightly stronger than Wang Kai's. If he were to fight with Fei Ren, Wu Patian was not confident that he would win. This lad's strength is enough to be ranked on the Hidden Dragon roll. From today onwards, there will be one more opponent. At that moment, there were obviously more than one person who had the same thoughts as Wu Patian. Be it Li Tiandao, who was ranked 180th on the Hidden Dragon roll, or Luo Shiqing, who was ranked 108th. Almost everyone acknowledged Fei Ren's strength. There are still 2 seats? At that moment, the battle had just ended. Lu Wuxiang rushed over, and his gaze stopped at the 2 empty Enlightenment platforms on the peak of Sky Mountain. One could comprehend martial arts on the Enlightenment platforms. As the Sword Emperor of the Eastern continent, Lu Wuxiang naturally knew about it. This lad is here too. At the peak of Sky Mountain, Fei Ren had almost recovered from his injuries. He had also noticed Lu Wuxiang's presence below. However, he did not know that Lu Wuxiang was no longer the Scorching Sun sect's disciple, Gao Yunshin. Lu Wuxiang had already recovered his memories from his previous life. Gao Yunshin, I did not expect your strength to grow so quickly. In a flash, Lu Wuxiang appeared in front of Fei Ren. Fei Ren was surprised. Last time, at the gathering point of the Stone City, the other party's cultivation was only at the first level of the martial spirit realm. However, in the blink of an eye, in less than half a month, the other party's cultivation had also stepped into the 4th level of the martial spirit realm, the same level as him. You still don't know the profoundness of the expunging platform, right? If you want to comprehend a stronger cultivation method or martial art, other than the martial artist's own perception, the location of the explanation platform is also very particular. Glancing at Fei Run, Lu Wuxiang didn't respond to the other party's astonishment. What do you mean? Fei Ren asked with a frown. In the beginning, he was rather surprised as well. There were still 2 seats on the expelling platform at the peak of Heaven Mountain. Originally, Wang Kai did not need to fight with him. They could just take 1 seat each and everything would be fine. However, his opponent would rather have a great battle with him than occupy the highest Enlightenment platform at the edge of the cloud layer. This caused him to feel extremely strange. It's very simple. There are 10 Enlightenment platforms over there. The higher the platform, the more spirit chi will gather in the surroundings. It will be more beneficial for martial artists to get rid of the distracting thoughts in the hollow and increase the probability and grade of comprehending cultivation methods and martial arts. If I'm not mistaken, the Enlightenment platform at the top with no one occupied should have been reserved by someone from a great faction. Otherwise, why would the martial artists here, including the geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking, not fight for it? Why would they just look at it? Lu Wuxiang shook his head and smiled faintly, as if he had already seen through everything. I see. There's such a saying. Following Lu Wuxiang's gaze, Fei Ren also glanced at the empty enlightenment platform at the top. His gaze was deep. It was just as Lu Wuxiang had said. The spirit qi gathered around this enlightenment platform was the most abundant. If one were to comprehend a cultivation method or martial art there, the effects would definitely be extremely good. There is even a higher chance of comprehending a cultivation method or martial art above level 9. You're going to fight for that enlightenment platform? Lu Wuxiang seemed to have seen through Fei Ren's thoughts as he asked another question. That's right. I'll leave the enlightenment platform on the left to you. Fei Ren nodded. Since the enlightenment platform at the top with no one occupied had the best effect, he would naturally not be courteous. Riches and honor were found in danger. Even if he offended a great faction by fighting for the enlightenment platform with the best effect, he would not be afraid. If he could win, he would fight. If he could not, he would just run. I wish you good luck. Lu Wuxiang did not stand on ceremony after saying these words. He immediately leaped and flew toward the leftmost enlightenment platform. Fei Ren glanced at Lu Wuxiang as well. His expression was slightly surprised. He did not know why, but he felt that Lu Wuxiang seemed to have changed into a different person. It was not only in terms of his temperament, but even his character had changed slightly. He was less cold and more composed. Fei Ren withdrew his thoughts. In the next moment, he also flew toward the highest enlightenment platform at the edge of the clouds. What's that kid doing? It seems like he wants to fight for the enlightenment platform at the top. It can't be. I heard that the enlightenment platform has already been reserved by the people from the Great Song Empire. Even Wu Patian and Luo Shiqing, the geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking, do not dare to touch it. They are afraid of attracting trouble and revenge. This Fei Ren is actually so daring. Awesome. This Fei Ren is so unyielding. He actually does not even put the people from the Great Song Empire in his eyes. Not bad. At this moment, Fei Ren's actions also fell into the eyes of the surrounding ancient martial art practitioners. Immediately, an uproar arose. Everyone looked at each other with extremely shocked gazes. A portion of the wandering martial art practitioners were stunned on the spot. First, he defeated Wang Kai, who was ranked 167th on the Hidden Dragon ranking. Then he snatched the Enlightenment platform with the best effect. He even did not hesitate to offend the famous Great Song Empire in the Eastern continent. Fei Ren's courage and boldness shocked everyone present. There were even some busybodies in the crowd who secretly gave him a thumbs up and called him an expert. Great Song Empire? What the hell? The discussions below also fell into Fei Ren's ears. It seemed that the Great Song Empire that everyone was talking about was very powerful. Moreover, the Enlightenment platform with the best effect had been reserved by the people from the Great Song Empire. Therefore, Wu Patian and Luo Shiqing did not dare touch it. Forget it. It's more important to comprehend martial arts first. However, Fei Ren did not care about this mess. Currently, he only wanted to increase his strength. 3 years later, he would go to the Clear Sea sect to defeat Tang Shui and conquer this arrogant woman. At the same time, he would continue to inquire about his birth parents and the former dragon sect. In order to achieve these goals, he still needed to become stronger. A mere level 4 martial spirit realm cultivation was naturally not enough. Sitting cross-legged on the Enlightenment platform, Fei Ren felt the distracting thoughts in his mind slowly being expelled as waves of heaven and earth's spiritual qi flowed into his body. It was as if he had entered an ethereal state of meditation. It was very strange. Buzz. After an unknown period of time, suddenly, a large amount of unfamiliar information flowed into the depths of his mind. In the next moment, Fei Ren's body shook. At the same time, a ray of deep light shot out from his eyes like thousands of stars. Saint rank cultivation technique, records of the overlord of Western Chu. Chapter 593. It was the legendary divine level technique. The corner of Fei Ren's mouth twitched slightly. His face was trembling, and he could not hide his excitement. Previously on the Enlightenment platform, He had absorbed a large amount of spiritual energy from heaven and earth to clear his mind and distracting thoughts. He had finally comprehended a powerful technique. Furthermore, it was a divine level technique. Divine level technique, records of the overlord of Western Shu, regardless of rank or power. This cultivation technique was far superior to ordinary ninth-tier cultivation techniques. Even Fei Rin's own Dharma transformation technique was far inferior to it. In the Xing continent, level 9 techniques were not the best in the world. Above them were Earth level, Heaven level, Venerable level, Divine level, Emperor level, and the legendary Divine level technique that could allow one to ascend and become a deity. Now, the records of the overlord of Western Shu that Fei Rin had comprehended through the Enlightenment platform was a true divine level technique. Among all the martial artists present, no one could surpass it. After all, not all martial artists could comprehend top-notch techniques and martial arts on the Enlightenment platform. Even Wu Patian, Li Tiandao, Luo Shiqing, and the other prodigies on the Hidden Dragon Roll could only comprehend Earth-level techniques and martial arts below level 9. Apart from the martial artist's ability to comprehend, it also depended on a trace of luck. As the saying goes, fate is everything. Saint Tier, martial art. If I can cultivate this martial art to great mastery, wouldn't the Great Song Empire and the Great Ming Empire be nothing? Fei Rin thought as he took a deep breath. At the same time, he started to cultivate the records of the overlord of Western Shu that he had just comprehended. He was very focused. Previously, he had cultivated the Dharma conversion technique, a level 9 technique. His body was filled with a unique golden origin energy. If he wanted to cultivate the records of the overlord of Western Shu, he would have to disperse all the golden origin energy in his energy center. It would take a lot of effort and time. However, Fei Rin's origin energy cultivation would still be preserved. He would not fall because of cultivating the records of the overlord of Western Shu. The only drawback was that he could not be disturbed during the cultivation. Otherwise, it would be easy for him to go berserk. After another hour, Fei Rin, who was sitting cross-legged on the Enlightenment platform, suddenly stretched out his hands and formed a unique seal. Boom! In the next moment, a majestic and domineering Yuan power aura spread out and instantly spread to the surroundings of the heavenly mountain. It was as if an overlord had descended to the world, and it was extremely oppressive. Faintly, a strange purple pattern could be seen on Fei Rin's left cheek. It was as if a scar was hanging down from his face. It was very strange. The first overlord Mageweth has finally been successfully condensed. Exhaling heavily, Fei Rin's slightly tired face revealed a trace of relief. Different from the Dharma Qianhua skill, a 9th rank skill, the record of the overlord of Western Shu had strict requirements on the warrior's physique. It was very suitable for body-refining warriors. At the same time, it emphasized the use of one's strength to break all skills. It belonged to the overlord of Western Shu, a kind of overbearing skill. In addition, to unleash the true power of the record of the overlord of Western Shu, not only did the warrior's cultivation realm have to keep up, but it also had to do with the number of overlord Mageweths condensed. The record of the overlord of Western Shu could help warriors temper their physique and condense exclusive overlord Mageweths. The more overlord Mageweths there were, the stronger the warrior's physique and strength would be. One could even move mountains with one hand and shatter thousands of stars with one punch. Now, Fei Rin had finally condensed the first overlord Mageweth after more than an hour of painstaking cultivation. He had a preliminary grasp of the record of the overlord of Western Shu, a divine skill, on another enlightenment platform at the peak of Heavenly Mountain. Looks like this kid is really not afraid of death. If A.O. Chongkong brings people over later, it will be fun. Just as Fei Rin was immersed in cultivating the record of the overlord of Western Shu, Wu Patian also slowly stood up. There was a hint of playfulness in his eyes as he looked at Fei Rin. After a period of comprehension, he had also successfully comprehended an Earth rank martial art. Although the power and value of an Earth rank martial art were not cheap, It was still far from the divine skill record of the overlord of Western Shu that Fei Run had comprehended. At present, Wu Patian did not know that Fei Run had comprehended a divine skill. If he knew the truth, he would probably be scared out of his wits. After all, not everyone could comprehend a cultivation method or martial art of this grade. As for Ao Changkong, he was from the Great Song Empire. Moreover, his status was not low. He was the current crown prince of the Great Song Empire. The enlightenment platform that Fei Run was occupying now was reserved by him. The Great Song Empire was a famous empire in the eastern continent. Even a third-grade force did not dare to provoke it. From Wu Potion's point of view, Fei Ren's actions were undoubtedly poking a hornet's nest. Daring to provoke the Great Song Empire and Ao Changkong, the other party's fate would probably be very miserable. Brother Wu, not far away, a figure also flew over. The newcomer was a short-haired youth with a silver moon scimitar on his back. The aura around his body was not ordinary. His blade aura covered his body. He was one of the prodigies on the Hidden Dragon ranking, Li Tiandao. You've also finished comprehending? Seeing Li Tiandao arrive, Wu Patian also spoke. Not only was Li Tiandao a prodigy on the Hidden Dragon ranking, but he was also an old friend of his. Fortunately, I comprehended a 9th-grade martial art. Moreover, it's a blade technique. It's just what I want. Nodding his head, Li Tiandao smiled faintly. He was originally good at using blades. Now that he had comprehended a trace of the blade technique's embryonic form, and now that he had comprehended a 9th-grade blade technique martial art, he was naturally like a tiger that had grown wings. I heard that Ao Changkong is rushing here with his men. There's no ordinary person in the Great Song Empire, and that guy called Fei Ren still hasn't left. Could it be that he's really not afraid of death? Could it be that he thinks he can fight against that monster Ao Changkong with his own strength? Glancing at Fei Run, who was cultivating on the Enlightenment platform not far away, Li Tiandao had a strange expression on his face. Who knows? Let's go. Shrugging his shoulders, Wu Patian did not say anything else and left in the next moment. Every Enlightenment platform could only be used once. Now that he had comprehended an Earth-grade martial art, it would be useless even if he continued to stay here. Seeing that Wu Patian had left, Li Tiandao retracted his gaze and also flew away from the peak of Sky Mountain. On one of the Enlightenment platforms on the peak of Sky Mountain, my cultivation base has not recovered to its peak, and my sword technique has not transformed into a sword technique's law. I can't cultivate the complete Sword Emperor scripture. I can only cultivate an Earth-grade technique to make do. Slowly opening his eyes, Lu Wuxiang's expression was cold. The power of law was the advancement of Dao technique's power. In enlightenment just now, he had also comprehended an Earth-grade technique which was not bad. The Sword Emperor's scripture that he had cultivated in his previous life was an honorable grade technique. Its power was far greater than the Earth-grade and Heaven-grade techniques. Although he had recovered the memories of his previous life and mastered many of the techniques and martial arts that he had learned in his previous life, he was still too weak. Most of the powerful techniques and martial arts could not be cultivated by Lu Wuxiang. Currently, his cultivation base was only at the 4th level of the martial spirit realm. He did not have enough origin energy and profound sword technique to support his cultivation of the Sword Emperor scripture. This was a fatal weakness. Chapter 594. Just as Lu Wuxiang was concentrating on his cultivation, Fei Ren had also ended his cultivation. Swoosh! Fei Ren stood up abruptly. Be it his temperament or other aspects, there was a slight change. Compared to his previous introverted self, he was now much more domineering, even showing off his abilities like a king. Other than that, some attentive martial artists could also see that there were a few more tiny purple lines on Fei Ren's face. In addition to the purple lines at the corner of his eyes, they occupied almost half of his left cheek. 3 Overlord Mageweths. Fei Ren exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Then, the Dantian's origin power slowly flowed out and gathered in his fists. After this period of cultivation, he had already condensed a total of 3 Overlord Mageweths. Although the number was not much, with just these 3 Overlord Mageweths and his own origin power, even a casual punch would have unimaginable power. Fei-Ren roughly estimated that even the Green Dragon Golden Buddha kill at the perfect stage would only have a 50% chance of winning against the power of 3 Overlord Mageweths. A Saint Grade cultivation method was really powerful. It's time to leave now. Otherwise, it won't be easy to deal with the people from the Great Song Empire. Looking at Lu Wuxiang, who was not far away, Fei-Ren was deep in thought. Just as Lu Wuxiang and the rest had said, the Great Song Empire seemed to be a powerful empire in the Eastern continent. Even the people from the third grade forces did not dare to provoke them. This time, he had snatched the seat reserved by the Great Song Empire's crown prince on the expelling platform, which was a huge slap to the other party's face. The other party would definitely want to get back at him. With his current strength, it would be foolish to face such a powerful enemy head-on. Taking the initiative to avoid them was the best plan. Other than that, Fei-Ren had only condensed 3 Overlord Mageweths. He was not familiar with the Overlord's record of Western Chu yet. When he was stronger, he would completely grasp the mystery of the Overlord's record of Western Chu. Even if he was facing the Great Song Empire, he would not be afraid. Swoosh! Swoosh! Just as Fei-Ren was about to leave, a wave of whistling sounds tore through the air came from the nearby horizon. It was as if an eagle had soared into the sky, and it shook the 9 heavens. In the next moment, a group of black figures rushed over and landed on the peak of Sky Mountain. The person in the lead was a black-haired young man in a gold-plated python robe. The black-haired young man was extraordinarily handsome, with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. At the same time, his body was surrounded by a black, baleful aura that caused one's heart to palpitate. It was as if an emperor had arrived, and he emitted the aura of a superior person. Behind the black-haired young man was a group of martial spirit realm experts. The weakest among them was at the 5th level of the martial spirit realm. Everyone looked at the black-haired young man with respect, as if he was the only true master of the realm. The crown prince of the Great Song Empire, Ao Changkong. Among the crowd, an itinerant cultivator exclaimed in a low voice. His face was filled with shock. Clearly, he had recognized the person's background. Surprisingly, the black-haired young man in the sky was the crown prince of the Great Song Empire, Ao Changkong, who was ranked 50th on the Hidden Dragon ranking. His origin power cultivation had reached LV9 Martial Spirit Realm, and his strength was incomparably powerful. This Fei-Ren is finished. I heard that Ao Changkong is at LV9 Martial Spirit Realm. Not only does he possess many Earth-rank martial arts, he is also a peerless genius who is ranked in the top 50 of the Hidden Dragon ranking. He has few opponents among his peers. I wonder what gives him the confidence to compete with the people of the Great Song Empire. We'll know in a while. At this moment, seeing Ao Changkong leading a group of Great Song Empire's warriors to rush over with murderous intent, the warriors around Sky Mountain began to discuss in low voices. Some of them looked at Fei-Ren with pity and sympathy in their eyes. In the eyes of the crowd, Fei-Ren was destined to not be able to escape this calamity since he had snatched Ao Changkong's seat on the expelling platform. He's the crown prince of the Great Song Empire, a genius on the Hidden Dragon ranking at LV9 Martial Spirit Realm. Ao Changkong? Similarly, Fei-Ren raised his eyes and looked at the black-haired young man in a gold-plated python robe. Similarly, his eyes narrowed as his face suddenly turned solemn. He had originally planned to escape immediately, but he was a step too late. The other party had brought the men of the Great Song Empire to kill him and settle the score with him. You're the one who snatched my seat on the expelling platform? Similarly, Ao Changkong had discovered Fei-Ren's existence. His tone was cold, and his eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. Long before he came, he had already inquired about the other party's identity. The Fei-Ren in front of him was only a disciple of a small rank 6 sect in the Eastern continent. In his eyes, Fei Run was an existence akin to an ant. However, Fei Ren had snatched his reserved seat on the expelling platform. He was extremely daring. From A.O. Changkong's point of view, the other party's actions were not only a provocation, but also an insult to the mighty Great Song Empire. He was determined to tear Fei Run into pieces to vent the hatred in his heart. That's right. Who are you? How dare you obstruct me? With a cold smile, Fei Ren crossed his arms in front of his chest. Similarly, his eyes, which were as deep as the stars, looked directly at A.O. Changkong in the sky without a trace of fear. Now that both parties had shed all pretense of cordiality, there was no need for him to be courteous. As a saying goes, when enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous one wins. Although A.O. Changkong was a genius ranked in the top 50 of the Hidden Dragon role, and his cultivation had reached level 9 Martial Spirit Realm, that alone was not enough to scare him. Thing, looks like you're really courting death. Faced with Fei Ren's unyielding counterattack, A.O. Changkong's face darkened. Subsequently, he revealed a sinister smile, and his tone became even colder, as if he was extremely furious. Little bastard, no one can save you today. Being looked down upon by a level 4 Martial Spirit Realm ant, one could imagine the fury in his heart. In A.O. Changkong's eyes, he had already listed the other party as someone who must be killed. He was determined to turn Fei Run into ashes. This guy's strength is not weak. Do you need help? Just as both parties were about to draw their swords, a cold voice suddenly sounded in his ears. Fei Ren looked back and found that Lu Wuxiang, who had unknowingly ended his cultivation state, was looking at him with a calm face. If you're willing to help, that's naturally better, Lu Wuxiang replied through telepathy. Fei Ren also nodded. Although he had obtained the sacred cultivation technique, records of the overlord of Western Chu, he was not arrogant to the extent of being invincible. Right now, he had yet to master the records of the overlord of Western Chu. Facing A.O. Changkong, who was at level 9 Martial Spirit Realm, his chances of winning were still not high. In fact, it was less than 30%. At first, I thought you'd refuse. Lu Wuxiang grinned with a playful smile. Originally, he was deliberately testing him. However, he did not expect Fei Run to not have the slightest arrogance of genius. He was very self-aware. Your Highness Crown Prince, you don't have to personally deal with this ignorant scoundrel. I'm willing to share your burden and chop off his head. Just as A.O. Changkong was about to start a massacre, a tall martial artist suddenly stepped forward and cupped his hands toward the other party. His tone was fierce. The tall martial artist was also from the Great Song Empire. He seemed to be one of A.O. Changkong's personal bodyguards. His origin power cultivation had reached level 7 Martial Spirit Realm, and his strength was extraordinary. Chapter 595. Very well. Then I'll leave it to you to deal with this little bastard. It's best if you break his arms and legs. I want him to experience what it means to live a life worse than death. A.O. Changkong said sinisterly as he glanced at the tall warrior. In his opinion, the tall warrior's strength was enough to deal with Fei Ren. After all, Fei Ren was only at LV 4 Martial Spirit Realm. No matter how strong Fei Ren was, there was a gap of 3 small realms between them. It was impossible for him to overturn the situation. A mere crown prince of a third-grade empire is quite arrogant. Don't you plan to do it yourself? On the other side of the sky, Lu Wuxiang's eyes were deep as he saw the tall warrior beside A.O. Changkong stand out. A cold smile appeared on his face. Although he had yet to recover his peak strength and was not a mystique venerable realm expert, he still had the martial arts comprehension and combat experience of a mystique venerable realm expert in his previous life. Even if he was to face a LV7 martial spirit realm expert, Lu Wuxiang still had a 90% chance of winning. This was his pride as the Sword Emperor of the Eastern Continent in his previous life. Wherever his sword pointed, no enemy would dare to stop it. In addition, Lu Wuxiang knew very well that the seemingly ordinary Fei Run was also not to be trifled with. In the past, when he was still a disciple of the Scorching Sun sect, Gao Yunshan, and had not yet awakened the memories of his previous life, Gao Yunshan's strength had repeatedly refreshed his understanding of him. Gao Yunshan had even helped him resolve crises several times. Gao Yunshan was enough to be ranked at the top of the Hidden Dragon ranking. Therefore, both of them had the strength to deal with the Great Song Empire's warriors. As long as Ao Changkong, who was at LV9 Martial Spirit Realm, did not intervene, no one could stop Lu Wuxiang and Fei Ren. Yes, sir. Once again, the tall warrior cupped his hands at Ao Changkong. The next moment, the tall warrior turned his head and looked at Fei Run with a murderous look. He grinned and said, "Kid, if you're willing to kneel down and beg for mercy, I might consider leaving your corpse intact. Idiot. What did you say?" As his voice fell, the tall warrior's face turned red. His eyes widened as if he was burning with anger. "Are you deaf? I said you're an idiot. Do you understand now?" Fei Ren sneered with a mocking smile on his face. Aside from Ao Changkong, who was not far away, Xiao Qin did not care about the rest of the Great Song Empire cultivators. "Little bastard, you are courting death." Finally, unable to suppress the anger in his heart, the tall cultivator also roared. He immediately took out a 7 feet and 8 inches long sharp spear from his spirit ring and swept it towards Fei Ren's vital points with a fierce dragon tail swing. Clang! A cold glint appeared first, and then the spear shot out like a dragon. Although he thought that Fei Run would win at the beginning, he never thought that Fei Run would win so cleanly. Fei Run defeated the Great Song Empire's LV7 Martial Spirit Realm martial artist with a single punch. After all, the opponent was one of the personal guards of the Great Song Empire's crown prince, Ao Changkong. His strength was definitely not weak. The overlord of Western Chu's records is indeed powerful. Slowly retracting his fist, Fei Ren's eyes revealed some excitement. Just now, he had only used the power of one overlord's demonic mark, which was only one mark of the overlord of Western Chu's records. Right now, he had condensed a total of 3 overlord's demonic marks in his body. If the power of all 3 overlord's demonic marks was released, the Great Song Empire's martial spirit realm martial artist would definitely die on the spot. The power of a sacred rank cultivation technique was that insane. However, the only drawback of the overlord of Western Chu's records was that it took a certain amount of time to condense the overlord's demonic marks. Furthermore, it was a one-time consumption. Just now, Fei Run had used up one overlord's demonic mark to severely injure the Great Song Empire's martial spirit realm martial artist. Now, there were only 2 overlord's demonic marks left in his body. Right now, Ao Changkong, who was the strongest among them, had yet to make a move. Due to the special situation, he did not have time to condense the overlord's demonic marks again. Therefore, Fei Ren did not want to waste the remaining 2 overlord's demonic marks in his body. He planned to use them as a killing move. On the other side of the sky, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Haha, I didn't expect a mere ant to have some ability. Not enough. An ant will always be an ant. No matter how strong he is, it will still be the same. In the end, it will still be a dead end. Suddenly, Ao Changkong looked up to the sky and laughed. His handsome face revealed a trace of cruelty and malevolence. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and his tone was low. At the same time, his entire body emitted an extremely terrifying and strange aura. It was as if the anger in his heart was about to explode, and he was already on the verge of exploding. Chapter 596. Dying. Without the slightest hesitation, Ao Changkong's figure shot out at lightning speed, and his palm blasted towards Fei Ren's head. The origin energy of the 9th level of the martial spirit realm exploded. At the same time, it was mixed with a shocking, baleful aura, making it difficult to dodge. Whoosh! Facing Ao Changkong's sudden attack, Fei Ren did not dare to be negligent. He pulled out the Azure Dragon Star halberd behind him and met the attack with the halberd. Not only was his opponent a famous genius on the Hidden Dragon ranking, he also had an extraordinary cultivation of the 9th level of the martial spirit realm. His strength was many times stronger than the tall warrior from before. Therefore, he did not dare to be careless. Clang, rumble, yuan energy pierced through the air and whistled through the air. Ao Changkong's palm attack fiercely landed on the Azure Dragon Star's halberd. Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound erupted. At the same time, a huge shockwave also sent Fei Ren flying. Bang! Feeling a majestic and terrifying power coming from the halberd, Fei Ren's face couldn't help but turn red. Then, he forcefully suppressed the sweetness that surged up from his throat and took advantage of the situation to retreat to the horizon, looking somewhat miserable. That Fei Ren retreated in defeat. As I expected, this person is definitely not Ao Changkong's match. Looks like it's going to end soon. At this moment, seeing that Fei Ren was defeated by Ao Changkong and retreated in a hurry, the crowd began to discuss. Some of them looked at Fei Ren with eyes filled with schadenfreude. After all, he had been in the limelight just now and even snatched the best enlightenment platform. Now, he was finally going to be slapped in the face. This guy is indeed powerful. This is bad. A strand of origin energy gushed out from his dantian and slightly eased the injury on his right hand. Fei Ren glanced at the Azure Dragon Star halberd in his hand with a solemn expression. In the previous battle, Ao Changkong had injured him with just a casual palm strike. Moreover, the worst thing was that the 7th grade spirit treasure in his hand, the Azure Dragon Star halberd, had also suffered some damage. The star stone that was originally embedded in it had completely shattered and lost the power of the stars, greatly reducing its power. Looks like I have to find a chance to slip away. Where there's life, there's hope. Fei Ren took out a high-grade medicinal pill from his bosom and swallowed it. Then, he circulated his qi to heal his injuries. I'm afraid his strength is no weaker than a half-step martial king. Lu Wuxiang's voice came from beside him. In the next moment, he had also rushed over with a cold and solemn expression. While Fei Ren was recuperating, he had also briefly exchanged blows with Ao Changkong. However, he wasn't Ao Changkong's match. After all, the difference between their cultivations was too great. It was an entire 5 minor realms apart, and it was impossible to make up for it with actual combat experience and cultivation method. Other than that, Ao Changkong was also a hidden dragon role genius who could fight above his level. He was no ordinary person. Across the sky, even if 2 ants attack together, they are still not this crown prince's match. When Ao Changkong saw Lu Wuxiang appearing out of nowhere, seemingly intending to join forces with Fei Ren, his face remained cold and indifferent. A thick disdain hung at the corner of his mouth, as if he didn't take the two of them seriously. After all, Lu Wuxiang was also at LV4 Martial Spirit Realm. In his opinion, even if Fei Ren had an extra helper, it would be useless. They would all die in the end. Let's attack together, Lu Wuxiang said in a deep voice. I was going to run away. Looking at Fei Ren again, Lu Wuxiang's eyes were slightly stunned. Then, anger appeared in his eyes. It seemed that in his opinion, Fei Ren's action was undoubtedly a coward's action. However, I've changed my mind now. With another faint smile, Fei Ren also circulated all the origin power in his body. The remaining 2 Overlord demonic marks in his body were also released without reservation. This time, his opponent was the crown prince of the Great Song Empire, Ao Changkong. He didn't dare to hold back at all. Otherwise, his life would be in danger. Now, his strongest killing move was the Overlord demonic marks condensed in his body. As for the Green Dragon Star Halberd, Glass Fire, and Green Dragon Golden Buddha Kill, they couldn't hurt his opponent at all. This could be seen from the previous exchange. Sword Emperor's 5 moves, Third Sword Void Hole, like Fei Ren, a shocking and majestic sword force and origin power surged out from Lu Wuxiang's body. At the same time, the Shangyang sword in his hand slashed across the sky. Countless piercing sword chi burst out in an instant. This move seemed to be his strongest killing move at the moment. You want to fight with me? You're not qualified yet. On the other side of the sky, facing Fei Ren and Lu Wuxiang, whose strength had soared, Ao Changkong sneered. The next moment, the aura around him also soared by several times. Then, he clapped his palms together to form a seal, as if he was brewing some kind of powerful martial art. Mixed elements unity, qi. After a few breaths, along with Ao Changkong's roar, countless origin power also swept out from his body. Then it turned into a huge origin power pyramid in the sky. The origin power pyramid was simple and magnificent. A large number of Tai Chi 8 trigrams were engraved on it. Its aura was terrifying. This is Earth-grade martial art, and its power is infinitely close to a heaven-grade martial art. Is this the trump card of the great song Empire's Crown Prince, Ao Changkong? On the other side, sensing the terrifying aura coming from the origin power pyramid in the sky, the expressions of the spectators changed drastically. It was as if they had seen a ghost. The intensity of this battle had far exceeded their imagination. Suppress. Ao Changkong's eyes were filled with killing intent. In the next moment, the origin power pyramid in the sky seemed to be pulled by something. It directly smashed down towards Fei Run and Lu Wuxiang below, causing ear-piercing sounds. Boom! Rumble! Fei Ren and Lu Wuxiang both launched their attacks at the same time as the Yuan energy pyramid arrived, meeting the powerful attack head-on. After a few breaths, rumbling sounds rang out continuously as the entire vicinity of Heavenly Mountain was swallowed up by the enormous Yuan energy shockwave. The two figures also disappeared within it. After a few more minutes, the two figures reappeared. However, they were in a very sorry state. Their bodies were covered with injuries and bloody scars. Among them, the Shangyang sword in Lu Wuxiang's hand had a few cracks and its luster was dim. As for Fei Run, he was in an even worse state. The green dragon star halberd that was already damaged was now completely destroyed and turned into a pile of scrap metal. Damn it! Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Fei Ren's face turned ugly. Not only was the rank 7 spirit treasure green dragon star halberd destroyed, but he also suffered quite a few injuries. This battle could be said to be a tragic loss for him. It was enough to show Ao Changkong's strength. Two ants, are they still alive? Standing with his hands behind his back, Ao Changkong's handsome face revealed a hint of fatigue. Then he looked at the two injured people not far away and frowned slightly. Although the mixed elements unity law was powerful and was an earth-grade martial art, it consumed a lot of origin power. Even he could not use it frequently. Crown Prince, there's news from Old Gu. Suddenly, just as Ao Changkong was about to attack again, a figure flew over from the horizon and landed in front of him with a hurried tone. The person who came was a young man in a tight suit. He seemed to be one of Ao Changkong's guards. Finally, there's news about Martial King Liquid. Looking at the young man, Ao Changkong slowly retracted his origin power. The corner of his mouth slightly raised, as if he had been waiting for a long time. I'll let you go this time. This crown prince will take the lives of ants next time. Ao Changkong turned his gaze and looked at Fei Run and Lu Wuxiang, who were both heavily injured. He snorted coldly and led a group of guards to leave in a hurry. It was as if in the other party's heart, there were more important things to do than killing Fei Run and Lu Wuxiang. Chapter 597. He retreated. Everyone was surprised to see Ao Changkong leave with a group of guards and unexpectedly let go of the severely injured Fei Run and Lu Wuxiang. After all, Fei Ren had snatched his seat on the Enlightenment platform and injured one of Ao Changkong's subordinates. It could be said that he had completely angered Ao Changkong. Now, he only needed one move to kill Fei Run, but Ao Changkong had suddenly stopped. It was hard not to be surprised by this. Looks like a great opportunity is about to appear. In the crowd, a rogue cultivator sighed. Martial artists who could come to the heavenly demon secret realm were not fools, and their strength was at least at the martial master realm. Now, Ao Changkong was able to suppress his killing intent and let go of Fei Run and Lu Wuxiang. It was enough to show that he must have found a great opportunity. To Ao Changkong, the opportunity in the heavenly demon secret realm was obviously more important than the lives of the two people in front of him. Everyone was very clear in their hearts. That bastard actually didn't kill us. At the peak of the Sky Mountain, Fei Rin took out a rank 7 pill from his spirit ring and swallowed it. Then, he started to heal himself. His dirty face was also very surprised. Seeing Ao Changkong suddenly retreat, he was also very surprised. Although he had comprehended the Saint-grade cultivation method, records of the Overlord of Western Shu, on the Enlightenment platform, in all fairness, he was still no match for Ao Changkong. It could be seen from the fact that he and Lu Wuxiang were still no match for Ao Changkong's transmutation unity law when they joined forces. Although Ao Changkong's cultivation was only at level 9 martial spirit realm, his true strength was not inferior to a half-step martial king realm expert. Originally, Fei Rin planned to use his last trump card to severely injure Ao Changkong with the devouring power of the divine Immortal Cauldron and then find a chance to escape. Now, it seemed that the development of the situation was beyond his expectations. Ao Changkong had injured him and Lu Wuxiang in one move, but he did not have time to kill them and ran away. If you don't remove the roots when cutting the weeds, there will be trouble in the future. I will remember him. Lu Wuxiang's weak voice slowly came from the side. As the former Sword Emperor of the Eastern Continent, he was naturally unable to quell the pride and anger in his heart after being defeated by a mere third-rank Empire's crown prince. This time, Ao Changkong did not kill him, so he had completely lost his chance. Next time, it would be the time for him to take revenge. Lu Wuxiang thought to himself, I don't know if we're lucky this time, or if that bastard didn't even take us seriously. Fei Rin mocked himself as he glanced at Lu Wuxiang, who was also heavily injured. Doesn't matter. However, in the face of Fei Rin's ridicule, Lu Wuxiang replied coldly. He did not seem to care about a momentary failure and immediately started to heal himself. Seeing Lu Wuxiang recuperating on the spot, Fei Rin did not continue to talk nonsense. He also activated the records of the Overlord of Western Shu and began to absorb the surrounding energy of heaven and earth. However, he was not healing, but condensing the Overlord Mageweth in his body. In the previous fierce battle, Fei Rin had used the power of the remaining 2 Overlord Mageweth in his body to luckily escape the disaster. Otherwise, he would not have been able to withstand Ao Changkong's all-out attack with just the 7th-ranked spiritual treasure Green Dragon Star halberd and his own cultivation. After all, not only did Ao Changkong have origin power cultivation of LV9 martial spirit realm, but the mixed elements unity law was also a powerful earth rank martial skill. With the support of both, even a half-step to martial king realm expert would not dare to say that he could easily deal with it. After 2 hours, Fei Rin had condensed another 5 Overlord Mageweth in his body. Originally, he had planned to condense more Overlord Mageweth, but he realized that with his current cultivation, he could only condense 5 Overlord Mageweth at most. If he condensed more, his body would not be able to bear the burden of such power. However, the power of 5 Overlord Mageweth was not bad. According to his estimation, if the power of 5 Overlord Mageweth was fully unleashed, it would be enough to contend with or even kill an LV-10 martial spirit realm expert. Now, although he had lost the 7th-rank spiritual treasure Green Dragon Star halberd, it was a blessing in disguise. With the Saint-rank cultivation technique, record of the Overlord of Western Shu, Fei Rin's strength did not decrease, but increased instead. Furthermore, he would become even stronger in the future. At this time, the group of martial artists who had gathered near the Heavenly Mountain had already dispersed. The 10 Enlightenment platforms that were originally floating in the air had also begun to slowly dissipate. As for Lu Wuxiang, he had also left without saying goodbye after his injuries had healed. Phew! Slowly exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Fei Rin also leaped and left in the next moment, rushing towards the nearby northern Liang city. Next, he had to find a remote and safe place to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time and strive to break through his origin power cultivation again. Otherwise, if Ao Changkong brought people to kill him again, he would be in a passive situation of life and death again. The feeling of his life and fate being controlled by others made Fei Rin feel very uncomfortable. Only by becoming stronger could he break the shackle. Unknowingly, another 3 days had passed. Northern Liang City. The sky had just broken and wisps of morning fog gradually spread out. In a certain courtyard in the city, it was extremely quiet. Buzz. Suddenly, accompanied by a weak, throbbing sound, waves of purple gas appeared out of thin air in the courtyard in the next moment. Then, it shot straight into the sky, bringing with it waves of whistling wind. It was like a cloud of purple fog that enveloped the entire courtyard. At the same time, the sky above the courtyard faintly rumbled with thunder, as if it was echoing from afar. It was very strange. What happened? At this time, a portion of the martial artists in the city were also surprised. They noticed the change in the sky and looked in the direction of the courtyard with different expressions. Could it be that someone is breaking through? It can't be. Breaking through cultivation can actually cause such a huge commotion. Could this person be a martial king expert? Doubts and astonishment rose one after another. However, in a certain side room in the courtyard, Fei Rin did not pay attention to what was happening outside the window. His eyes were tightly shut, and he was still concentrating on cultivating. Breakthrough. Suddenly, Fei Rin's body trembled slightly. Then, he suddenly opened his eyes. Accompanied by a wave of purple gas gathering into his body, his origin energy aura also increased by more than a few times, as if he had gone through a baptism. LV5 Martial Spirit Realm. Not bad. Feeling that his body was filled with majestic power, Fei Rin slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Then, he stopped cultivating and stood there with a gratified smile on his face. After a few days of seclusion, his origin energy cultivation had finally taken a step forward and stepped into LV5 Martial Spirit Realm. In addition, he had become more proficient in mastering the Overlord's records of Western Shu. Now, he had basically stepped into the realm of small success. He could condense the Overlord's demonic rune anytime and anywhere. He did not need to concentrate like before. He could even split his attention to condense the Overlord's demonic rune while fighting. However, the weakness of the Overlord's records of Western Shu still remained. That was, it took a long time to condense the Overlord's demonic rune. Boom! Roar! At this moment, another deafening rumble came from the outside world. It was as if a rocket had fallen into the sea. Following, there was the roar of a large number of demonic beasts, which instantly spread throughout the entire northern Liang city. In addition, the commotion also came from outside the northern Liang city. Beast tide! Leaping into the sky, Fei Rin's face turned ugly as he looked at the large number of black figures and the shocking aura of the demonic beasts outside the northern Liang city. Shockingly, they were surrounded by the beast tide. In a heavenly demon secret realm, the beast tide would usually occur at night. However, to encounter a beast tide during the day, one could only say that they were lucky enough to buy a lottery ticket. Chapter 598. Although northern Liang City had good defensive fortifications and there were many martial artists and rogue cultivators resting in the city, however, it paled in comparison to the scale of the beast tide outside. At present, there were no more than a few hundred cultivators in the city. On the other hand, there were many demonic beasts gathered outside the city. There were at least 1,000 of them, and most of them had powerful demonic energy fluctuations. Even the weakest of them had reached the spirit rank, which was comparable to the martial master realm. Apart from that, there was also a large group of high-level demonic beasts in the beast tide. They seemed to be unique to the heavenly demon secret realm. Not only were they taller than the city walls of northern Liang City, but they were also more powerful than ordinary demonic beasts. Even spiritual rank human martial artists were no match for them. I wonder if these people can withstand the attack of the beast tide. There are pros and cons to this beast tide. As long as the heaven-ranked demonic beasts don't appear, no one can stop me. Fei Run retracted his gaze and looked at northern Liang City below. His eyes were deep. Just now, he had already made up his mind. He would make use of this beast tide to train his cultivation that he had just broken through. If northern Liang City could not be defended, he would find an opportunity to escape, even if the demonic beasts outside chased after him. As long as they were not the heaven-ranked demonic beasts that were comparable to martial kings, they would not be able to stop him. Damn, it's over. At the edge of the city walls, a rogue cultivator looked at the densely packed demonic beasts below and heard the roars of the demonic beasts circling around him with fear. His cultivation was only at level 2 martial spirit realm. Although he could deal with some spirit-rank demonic beasts and even earth-rank low-level demonic beasts, the city walls would be destroyed. A large number of demonic beasts would flood in with the beast tide. Even if he had wings, he would not be able to escape. He would definitely die. After all, the number of martial artists in the city was too different from the number of demonic beasts outside. If not for the fact that northern Yang City had some defensive fortifications and tall city walls, they would have become food for the demonic beasts in less than half a day. Strange, there's a beast tide in the daytime of the heavenly demon secret realm. How is this possible? On the other side of the city wall, a few cultivators clustered around a gray-robed, white-haired old man. The white-haired old man's face was solemn, and there was a trace of uncertainty on his aged face. The aura around him was powerful, and it seemed that his status was not low. The white-haired elder's name was Zhang Huban. He was the head of the Zhang clan, a grade 6 clan in the eastern continent. When the heavenly demon mystery plane opened this time, he led a few younger members of the Zhang clan into the heavenly demon mystery plane to search for opportunities. However, Zhang Huban and the others were rather unlucky. Not only did they not find many opportunities, but they were also attacked by a beast tide when they were resting at the assembly point in northern Liang City. Patriarch, what should we do? A martial artist from the Zhang family said in an uneasy tone. At the same time, he shrank his head and looked a little flustered. Just now, he had also observed the situation outside the city. It could no longer be described as optimistic. It was extremely urgent. The various exits of the assembly point in northern Liang City had been completely surrounded by a large number of magical beasts. Traces of magical beasts could be seen everywhere. In addition, it was not easy to fly out of northern Liang City. Most of the magical beasts surrounding northern Liang City were above the spirit rank. There were also many earth rank magical beasts. Therefore, regardless of whether it was the sky or the ground, danger lurked everywhere. Right now, we can only fight our way out. Zhang Huban shook his head in response to the question of the Zhang clan's martial artist. At the same time, his skinny hands clenched tightly under his sleeves. His origin energy cultivation was at level 4 martial spirit realm. Most of the Zhang clan's martial artists around him were above the martial spirit realm. As long as they did not encounter any earth-rank magical beasts or were surrounded by a large number of magical beasts, they would still have a chance to fight their way out of the encirclement. Look, someone is rushing out of the city. Suddenly, just as the Zhang clan's martial artists were thinking of a countermeasure, a low exclamation came from the crowd. What? Zhang Huban and the other Zhang clan's martial artists behind him looked over when they heard the exclamation. At this critical moment of life and death, it was already too late for everyone to escape. Yet, someone dared to take the initiative to fight against the beast tide outside. This was no different from seeking death. Therefore, they also wanted to see who it was that dared to risk his life. Everyone looked over and finally stopped when their eyes fell on Fei Run, who was dressed in a gray robe. A level 5 martial spirit realm martial artist dared to fight against the beast tide alone. On the other side of the city wall, Zhang Huban was also shocked when he saw Fei Ren slaughtering the beast tide like a god of death. He opened his mouth slightly and was speechless for a moment. A man fighting against a group of magical beasts. This scene was too shocking. Die! Wisps of colored glass fire gushed out from his palm. Fei Ren's face was cold. The next moment, he raised his hand and blasted a large number of magical beasts. Boom! Boom! Roar! The colored glass fire turned into a blazing sea of fire and spread out. In an instant, dozens of spirit-level magical beasts were burned to ashes. Not even a trace of bones or demon cores were left. Some earth-level magical beasts were also affected by the power of the colored glass fire. They screamed and retreated. When they looked at Fei Ren, there was a trace of fear in their eyes. Although Fei Ren's cultivation was only at level 5 martial spirit realm, his overall strength was not weaker than a level 9 martial spirit realm martial artist. He was comparable to an advanced earth-level magical beast. Overlord Sweep. With an angry roar, the power of the two Overlord's magic tattoos was instantly released. In the next moment, two strange purple lines appeared on Fei Ren's face. At the same time, he lifted his leg and smashed out. His attack was like a tornado, landing in the middle of the dense beast horde. Boom! Rumble! A large number of magical beasts screamed and died. Then, they turned into cold beast corpses and were absorbed by Fei Ren's smelting immortal cauldron. As the number of magical beasts killed increased, Fei Ren's cultivation, which had just broken through, increased rapidly. At the same time, the barrier of his cultivation level showed signs of breaking through again. It was as if he had cheated. Just as Fei Ren was fighting with a magical beast army that was swarming towards northern Liang City, in a heavenly demon secret realm, in front of a cliff, corpses were everywhere and blood flowed in all directions. Big brother, our harvest is not bad. Yi Jinglei took out a high-grade spirit ring from a warrior's corpse and threw it to Yi Yinfeng, who was not far away. In this trip to the heavenly demon secret realm, other than looking for opportunities, they were also constantly killing and robbing. Along the way, including the corpses under their feet, they had killed at least 7 or 8 groups of warriors, including some disciples from the 5th rank families and sects. Even so, these vitality stones are not enough. I need to kill a few more people so that my cultivation can break through to level 7 martial spirit realm. After checking the vitality stones in the spirit ring, Yi Yunfeng said coldly with a sinister look on his face, "Big brother, don't worry. Even if you haven't broken through to level 7 martial spirit realm, your strength is more than enough to deal with a bunch of trash from the Scorching Sun sect." Yi Jinglei put away the weapon in his hand and laughed. "Second brother, what's your plan?" Hearing this, Yi Yinfeng raised his eyebrows. As the crown prince of the great Ming dynasty, although he was strong, he was not as good as the second prince, Yi Jinglei, in terms of scheming. "I have a plan. I will definitely tear the bunch of trash from the Scorching Sun sect and that little bastard called Fei Ren into pieces." Yi Jinglei nodded, and a cruel and vicious look appeared on his face. It was as if he had a plan in mind. Chapter 599. It's a pity that we don't have any information on them, Yi Yinfeng said as he stopped cultivating. He was now at the 6th level of the martial spirit realm and was close to breaking through the bottleneck. As long as he absorbed some mid-grade primordial stones, he would be able to break through and step into the 7th level of the martial spirit realm. His strength would increase greatly, and he might even be ranked on the hidden dragon ranking. "Big brother, don't forget what I'm best at," Yi Jinglei said with a cold smile. In terms of cultivation, he might not be as good as those famous geniuses on the hidden dragon ranking. However, he was a wily old fox when it came to lust and scheming. "Oh!" Yi Yinfeng let out a soft exclamation of surprise. He knew his second brother very well. He would never do something that he wasn't confident in. Since Yi Jinglei wanted to settle the score with Fei Ren, he must have made sufficient preparations. "That's right." Nodding his head, Yi Jinglei sinisterly said, According to our spies, that brat Feng Bu-hui seems to have appeared near the Stone City assembly point. As long as we capture that brat, we can use him as a hostage to force Fei Ren to appear. And that bitch Xiao Nico. If it wasn't for our Yi family's help, how could the World Chamber of Commerce become the #1 chamber of commerce in the Great Ming Empire? That bitch, I won't let her go either. A look of resentment appeared on his face as he clenched his fists. Not only did she reject his marriage proposal, she was also so close to Fei Ren. He couldn't accept it. In his opinion, Xiao Nico's actions were not only cheating on him, but also a provocation to the Yi family and the Great Ming Empire. It was intolerable. Second brother, it's not easy to find a 3-legged toad, but a 2-legged woman is easy. Let's deal with the Scorching Sun sect first. As for the World Chamber of Commerce, our Yi family can't fall out with them for now, Yi Yanfeng said in a deep voice as he sensed Yi Jinglei's anger. He seemed to be considering the big picture. Big brother, don't worry. I understand. Glancing at Yi Yanfeng beside him, Yi Jinglei restrained his expression. Clearly, he knew the benefits involved. After all, the World Chamber of Commerce was not small. Even if the two of them wanted to kill Xiao and I to vent their anger, the current emperor, Yi Aolong, would not agree. However, even though they couldn't kill her, they could use her as a hostage to force Fei Ren to show himself. Not long after, Yi Yanfeng and Yi Jinglei led the group of Yi family warriors and left the cliff. Outside Shicheng, who are you? Feng Buhui's expression was solemn as he looked at the group of Yi family's martial artists who were dressed in martial attire. After cultivating in the Heavenly Beast Mystery Realm for half a month, his origin energy cultivation finally made a breakthrough and stepped into the second level of the martial spirit realm. However, before he could rejoice for long, a group of martial artists of unknown origin charged out from all around him. Not only were these martial artists powerful, but they were also aggressive and seemed to be coming for him. So you're Feng Buhui from the Scorching Sun sect. I didn't expect you to be so weak. In the next moment, a disdainful voice sounded from the side. Then, Yi Yanfeng slowly walked out with a gloomy Yi Jinglei following behind him. Yi Yanfeng, Yi Jinglei, you're martial artists from the Yi family. When Feng Buhui saw the true face of the person who had come, his expression changed slightly. His expression was one of shock. The other party was the crown prince of the Great Ming Dynasty and was very powerful. Beside him was Yi Jinglei, the second prince, and his origin energy cultivation had reached the 5th level of the martial spirit realm. Not to mention the group of Yi family warriors surrounding him. Even if he were to face any one of the two people in front of him, he wouldn't be a match for them. Your eyesight is not bad. Originally, we planned to deal with Fei Ren, but now you're out of luck. A mocking smile appeared on Yi Jinglei's face as he looked at Feng Buhui with a cold smile. It was as if Feng Buhui was a turtle in a jar with nowhere to run. Take him down. With a cold shout, Yi Yanfeng ordered as if he didn't want to waste his breath on Feng Buhui. In the next moment, the group of Yi family warriors swarmed out and captured Feng Buhui, who was at the 2nd level of the martial spirit realm. Chua, just as Feng Buhui was captured, Yi Jinglei appeared in front of him in a flash. At the same time, he raised his leg and kicked Feng Buhui's chest. Bang! Poochie! Accompanied by a muffled sound, half of Feng Buhui's chest caved in and blood soaked his robes. You! Suffering heavy injuries, Feng Buhui's eyes were filled with boundless rage. However, he was powerless to resist. The difference in strength between the two of them was too great. The Yi Jinglei in front of him was even stronger than the leader of the night gang, Yi Yu. Brat, this is only the interest. Soon, that little bastard Fei Ren will come down to accompany you. Glancing at the dying Feng Buhui, a cruel and venomous expression flashed across Yi Jinglei's face. Not only did he want to kill Fei Ren, he also wanted his friend to die in front of him. Only then would he be able to appease the anger in his heart. Second brother, there's still that girl, Xiao Nico. Beside him, Yi Yanfeng also stepped forward. This time, capturing Feng Buhui was clearly not enough. If they wanted to force Fei Ren to appear, They had to make a move on Xiao Nico. Big brother, don't worry. I've already sent people to find out the location of the Xiao family's team. With their strength, they can't stop us. This time we'll definitely succeed. Kicking the heavily injured Feng Buhui to the side, Yi Jinglei nodded and said in a vicious tone. Not long after, Yi Jinglei, Yi Yunfeng, and the others did the same. Relying on their numbers and strength, they defeated the Xiao family's team in one fell swoop. At the same time, they took Xiao Nike hostage and brought her to a remote place called the Withered Tree Cliff outside the Sky Demon's secret territory. Heavenly Demon's secret territory, outside northern Liang City. Boom! Another punch blew up a few Earth-rank, mid-rank demonic beasts. In the next moment, Fei Rin's body moved into the air and retreated to the city wall behind him. He seemed to be planning to take a break. Level 6 Martial Spirit Realm. Haha, the records of the Overlord of Western Shu is indeed powerful. Breaking through while killing enemies, this is a long-awaited feeling. Fei Rin's face was filled with joy. Coo. However, before he could rush out again, a white feathered bird circled above his head and let out a series of coo. It seemed to be some kind of demonic beast responsible for sending messages. It looked quite cute, but it had no fighting power. This is a letter? Glancing at the white-feathered bird's left claw, Fei Rin raised his hand and circulated his yuan power, sucking one of the letters into his palm. When he opened the letter, Fei Rin's face froze, and then he frowned. There was nothing on the letter except for 2 different-sized bloodstains and the 3 black words, Withered Tree Cliff. It revealed a sense of desolation. Boundless anger burst out of his eyes. In the next moment, Fei Rin clenched his fists. At the same time, his aura dropped to a freezing point. He was like a peerless killing god that had just awakened. Yi Clan's 2 bastards. I'll definitely destroy you this time. Chapter 600. Fei Rin was very familiar with the source of the 2 bloodstains on the letter. One of them was Feng Buhui, and the other was Xiao Nicole, who was close to him. Right now, the 2 of them had most likely been killed. As for who it was, Fei Rin had more or less guessed it. The only people who had a grudge against him were the crown prince of the Great Song Empire, Ao Chongkong, and the people of the Yi clan. During the fight for the Enlightenment platform on Sky Mountain, Ao Chongkong had already taken the initiative to leave with his people. Moreover, the other party did not know about his relationship with Xiao Nicole and Feng Buhui. Therefore, they could basically be excluded. Right now, the only people who could possibly make a move were the Yi clan members. I didn't go find trouble with you, but you actually dared to come to me. Then, none of you can leave. Revealing his killing intent, Fei Rin burned the letter with a wisp of glazed fire from his palm. At the same time, he leaped into the sky and flew towards the direction of the Withered Tree Cliff. Roar! Outside northern Liang City, looking at Fei Rin who suddenly escaped in the sky, the magical beasts below roared. However, none of them dared to stop him. It was as if they had been frightened by Fei Rin's terrifying strength in the previous battle. After all, in the previous battle, countless magical beasts had died under Fei Rin's hands. There were even quite a number of high Earth rank magical beasts. As for magical beasts below the Earth rank, needless to say, they did not even have the qualifications to be devoured by him. Sky Demon's secret realm, in front of the Withered Tree Cliff. Yi Yunfeng and Yi Jinglei stood quietly. A group of Yi clan warriors were patrolling around them. In front of the 2 of them were 2 young men who were tied up. One of them was severely injured, while the other was an extraordinarily beautiful girl. The young woman was petite and graceful. Her hair was scattered over her shoulders. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were shooting out flames of anger. If looks could kill, Yi Yunfeng and Yi Jinglei would have been killed countless times by her. Yi Jinglei, you're still as shameless as before. And you, Yi Yunfeng, your Yi clan is a group of sinister scoundrels. Looking at Yi Jinglei, Xiao Nicole cursed angrily. Then, her delicate body struggled to twist. However, no matter how she struggled, it was useless. Not only did the other party seal her acupoints, but the rope that bound her was also not an ordinary one. It was an auxiliary spirit treasure made of some special material, which could restrict the movement and body of a martial artist. Villain? Looks like Miss Nicole has been quite angry lately. I wonder if your anger will subside when that Fey Run arrives. Stepping forward, Yi Yanfeng took out a white jade folding fan from somewhere and gently waved it as he sneered. This time, his target wasn't Shani, but Fei Run. The other party was only a hostage. As long as he got rid of Fei Run, Xiao Nicole would lose her value. Even if he let her go back to the Xiao family, Yi Yanfeng was not worried at all. After all, regardless of whether it was the Xiao family or the World Chamber of Commerce, they were no match for the Yi family. Fei Ren, seeing the smug look on Yi Yunfeng's face, Xiao Nico's pretty face sank and became very ugly. Damn it, their target is Fei Ren. Originally, she was following the Xiao family team to train in the Sky Demon Secret Realm while looking for opportunities. However, on the way, she was unexpectedly attacked by the Yi family. Yi Yanfeng seemed to have already known the Xiao family team's movements and location. His attacks were as fierce as fire, and he did not linger in the battle. His target was her. Now, Xiao Nicole finally understood that Yi Yanfeng and the other's target was not her, but Fei Ren. Big brother, don't waste your time with this bitch. Since she dared to reject my proposal, I'll let her have a taste of my power. Yi Jinglei interrupted with a sinister tone. Then, he took out a small bottle of dark blue liquid from his sleeve. It seemed to be some kind of medicinal liquid. Second brother, this girl can't be killed yet. Turning back, Yi Yanfeng spoke again, as if trying to persuade the other party to calm down. However, before he could finish his sentence, Yi Jinglei took a step forward and poured the medicine into Xiao Nico's mouth. Woo-woo. Although she struggled with all her might, her mouth was still filled with the blue liquid. Xiao Nicole's face was filled with shock and anger, and her beautiful eyes were shooting out endless murderous rage. Hey, bastard, what did you give me? Xiao Nicole spat out another mouthful of saliva and angrily rebuked. What did you drink? Yin Yang lovemaking powder. Throwing the bottle to the side, Yi Jinglei coldly snorted, and a trace of lust appeared in his eyes. Yin Yang lovemaking powder. Hearing this, not only Xiao Nicole, but also the dying Feng Buhui and Yi Yanfeng, who were standing at the side, were stunned. This guy still can't get rid of his lecherous habit. Crossing his arms, Yi Yanfeng shook his head as he looked at the lecherous Yi Jinglei, and a helpless smile appeared on his face. He originally thought that Yi Jinglei would kill Xiao Nicole in his rage, but he did not expect Yi Jinglei's plan to be even more perverted. Not only did Yi Jinglei want to use Xiao Nicole to force Fei Ren to show himself, he also wanted to feed her medicine in front of everyone to satisfy his beast desires. That bastard just gave me Yin Yang lovemaking powder. Her delicate body trembled, and in the next moment, a trace of uneasiness and panic appeared in Xiao Nicole's beautiful eyes. Yin Yang lovemaking powder was a type of aphrodisiac, and as its name suggested, after consumption, one would gradually lose their humanity and rationality, and their mind would be filled with primitive urges. The effect of the drug was very strong, and even a martial spirit realm expert could not resist the powerful effects of the Yin Yang lovemaking powder. Therefore, she was very clear about the reputation of the Yin Yang lovemaking powder. Although she still had a trace of rationality and clarity, after a while, the Yin Yang lovemaking powder would completely take effect, and she would completely lose her rationality. At the same time, she would be at the mercy of others, and would even take the initiative to cater to them. It was very scary. Bitch, today I'll let you taste my power. And that bastard called Fei Run, he won't be able to escape either. Yi Jinglei looked fiercely at Xiao Nicole, who was at a loss of what to do. In the next moment, Yi Jinglei slowly undressed, and at the same time, a pair of pig trotters moved towards her delicate body. You, what are you doing? Yi Jinglei, you bastard. Don't come over. Facing Yi Jinglei's pair of pig trotters, Xiao was shocked and angry. Her beautiful eyes were filled with panic and helplessness, as if she was about to cry out in the next moment. At the same time, she struggled to twist her delicate body, intending to avoid Yi Jinglei's trotters and retreat. Ha ha ha! Yi Jinglei's arrogant laughter resounded throughout the entire withered tree cliff and fell into everyone's ears. Wait! Suddenly, just as Yi Jinglei was about to enjoy the night, a man's voice came from the sky not far away. The tone was cold and full of killing intent. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.